not sure, but it's possible that we might have a banger this week. We might have a banger this week.
Absolute banger?
Yes. It might not just be 12 stories about people getting laid off, because we had several showcases that came out. In fact,
a lot happened this week.
I'm missing one, I think. But anyway, we got a lot to go over, and mostly it's just like, hey, that's a cool looking video game, which is a nice change of pace. So, welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast, right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
Before we get started, a couple of brief things.
Oh, yeah?
One, I'm dying right now, so if I die in this podcast, Michael, carry on without me. You've got all the links. You can keep going. Just shove my carcass to the side. I don't know what the hell is going on with me. I've got like ibuprofen and Pepto-Bismol and caffeine, and I'm hanging on by a thread. But
no, I get it.
But I'm here.
I got a case of the great brain scramblies, probably.
Yeah. I was like that earlier, and finally the third cup of coffee was like, oh look, there's reality. Also. We just got done with the Patreon from last month, and there was a pretty big dip in it. So for a little while at the start of our show, I'm going to say, hey, everybody, if you like these shows, patreon.com/RageSelect is how we fund them. It's 100% of the way that we fund them. $5 a month gets you access to the Discord server and everything else. So, I know that a lot of times we focus more on the videos because that's what the bonus content is. But, the podcast is also covered under the banner of RageSelect.
It's true. Also, what kind of dip would you say it is?
It's like a
salsa dip.
It's like a bad bean dip.
Oh, okay.
It's like a bad bean dip. It's not the best dip. So yeah, if you've never been a patron before, there's like so much shit over there, and I'm just gonna say this at the front. I'm not gonna start getting sponsors or anything, but okay. I guess even if I wouldn't know how to go about that.
I wouldn't know how to get a sponsor.
You just start talking about people's products, and then they pay you, right? You just say MeUndies.
It's basically that, but they usually ask you first before you start saying it.
I'm gonna jump the gun. I'm just gonna start hawking products, and then they can give me a referral code. Eventually,
I feel like if I remember correctly, that's what they tried to do with Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
when he goes, "Nintendo, give me free stuff."
Yes,
I think that was literally him trying that.
Oh my god, Nintendo, give me free stuff, please. Yeah. So anyway, we do have a big old banger. We've got the big banger this week. But before we get to that, a couple of things, Michael. I watched a movie last week. It's a very divisive movie.
Oh, okay.
That came onto VOD kind of out of nowhere. Do you know of the movie Presence? Have you heard of Presence?
I don't think I do.
Okay, so this is a Steven Soderbergh movie that has one Lucy Liu in it.
Oh, I've heard of this, but I didn't really look into it.
Yeah,
because I've heard some people talking about it.
Yeah, and so the thing is that it was marketed as oh my god, it's the scariest horror movie you're ever going to see. And then I looked at the scores for it. It's got an 80 critic score, but it's got a 50 audience score. And when I went and read the audience score, it was this movie wasn't fucking scary at all. And I think it's one of the things where sometimes movies will be marketed as oh my god, this is the thing. It's turned all the way up to 11. It is not. The movie is really interesting because it's basically these four characters. It's Lucy Liu and her husband and their two kids, and they move into a house, and there is a presence in the house.
Oh, so the movie's you're watching from the presence point of view.
So the entire movie is shot from first person. It's this presence moving through the house and interacting with people. Apparently, the entire thing was shot on an iPhone.
It makes sense looking at it. It looks like an iPhone. It's following people.
And yeah, it's just stabilized shots of moving through this house and watching this drama unfold about this family and the various things that happens to them. It's more of a drama, even though it does have some kind of supernatural stuff. It's not big. It's not super freaky. I think when they cut these trailers, they cut together the two parts in the movie that are kind of woo. But I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really compelling, but I think you really got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of comments of people saying the first person camera perspective really made them nauseous, following around, which is something that I know that people that don't play a lot of video games will sometimes. Hell, I get nauseous sometimes when we play a first person video game.
Well, it's like the VR thing. When you do that from VR, it weirds people out because they're not really in control of it.
Right. So I watched it. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long, and I really enjoyed it, but it's not It's not like a blockbuster. It's not going to scare your pants off.
Yeah.
You gotta like kind of get invested. I think it's really well written. Like it's this family that's having these problems, and all the characters have their own thing, and you're all kind of watching from this perspective. And it eventually everything kind of gets explained, which I thought was really weird because I saw some of the Zero reviews were like plot holes, and I'm like, where? I didn't see any.
I will only watch this movie if the movie ends with the presence going, you know what? You guys, I can't fucking deal with you people.
Yep.
Your drama, your bullshit.
Yep.
I'm just going to go.
Yep. Just opens the front door.
This isn't even fun anymore. And just fucking leaves.
But yeah, I thought it was really good. It's also Lucy Liu's been showing back up and stuff. Like she was gone for a long time.
I don't know where she went. I think she's been making out with Bender this whole time.
Yeah. Probably. But it was nice. And it really isn't even about Lucy Liu. Like the character's mostly about the daughter character.
Oh, okay. She's just the mom character.
She's just the mom. She's kind of a weird, like tiger mom, kind of yuppie. Like I don't know.
Okay.
There's some weird stuff that happens. Anyway, I thought it was worth watching, but it's like you got to know what you're getting into. I thought it was good, but if you're going expecting, some fucking Army of Darkness shit, like you're not gonna get that.
Well, that was when you said of Steven Soderbergh, I'm like, that's not the kind of thing he would make.
Yeah,
this thing you're explaining, that's the type of thing he would make.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's more of a marketing issue. There's a lot of movies where you'll watch and you're like, this is one of the funniest movies of the year, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, this is a drama,
right?
And you didn't know how to like advertise it for some reason. So now I'm watching a movie about a bunch of people at a carnival it turns out to be a drama. That's happened multiple times to me.
Yeah.
And so this is another one of those instances.
I also thought it was really interesting. One of the things that I noted, I mean, this is something that I think comes from some movies more than others, is that because the presence, like there's cuts in time, but when the presence is like when you're watching it, they have to move through the house.
Yeah.
Like they have to go through the door, then downstairs. So I could probably draw the blueprints of this house from memory.
Oh, okay.
Because where everything is. Like in order to get to the girl's bedroom, you got to go up the stairs and then down the hall, and it's the last door on the left. And like they do that multiple times. So, but yeah, I thought it was good. I just think that everybody needs to like make sure that their expectations are tempered, and not go in expecting the quotes that you're seeing in the second trailer where
those quotes don't make any sense.
It'll leave you gasping for air, and I'm like, no, it won't.
I don't know who these people are, but they've watched the trailers. Is all they watched.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
It's a thing that comes up with horror movies sometimes, where horror fans love that genre so much that they won't look at it critically.
These are also people who watched probably a movie for free,
right?
And they're like, "Oh, it's so good, guys!" Like they're at the film festival or something.
Yep,
they'll say anything.
Yep. So yeah, Presence. It's on VOD. I think it's really good. I think maybe for most people, probably wait until it comes onto one of the streaming services. But like,
I can't wait for the spinoff where it's just Santa Claus watching people instead for whether or not they get presents.
Yeah, I'll tell you the twist off camera because it's pretty cool. But
okay.
I also, did you see that new Shinichiro Watanabe thing is coming out like at the beginning of April?
Which one is that one?
What is it?
It sounds familiar.
It's called. It's like a new. It's basically his new Cowboy Bebop. They put out some trailers for it. It's called Lazarus.
I did not see this. Okay.
It is like it's a futuristic thing. He's basically just making Cowboy Bebop again. Like it's kind of more realistic. Like there's a scientist and he made this painkiller, and then it turns out that everybody that took it is gonna like die unless they quote unquote find him.
Oh geez.
And so you've got this paramilitary team called Lazarus that has like superpowers that's kind of going through this like futuristic world trying to find him. But like, I swear to God, I believe that Yoko Kanno did all the music for it. It's all jazzy Cowboy Bebop style soundtrack stuff, and then like the characters all kind of look like we've got Cowboy Bebop at home.
Honestly, the main guy they keep showing looks like the main character of City Hunter, actually.
Yeah,
which is so weird to me.
Yeah, so this is coming up on, I think it's like April. It's going to be on Max like day after. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. Anyway, what about you? We watch anime trailers all day. What about you? You got anything that you've been into before we get started?
I've been fucking with Fortnite again because they came out with the new battle pass.
Yeah,
and it's still pretty fun. They have a Sub-Zero weapon. Every time you pick it up, the announcer from MK3 just goes Sub-Zero, and I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah.
So and then I got the outfit. They did release a Cowboy Bebop collab for it.
Yep.
So it's a paid one. So if you guys missed it, I'm sure it'll come back, kind of thing. But it's kind of expensive. But it's nice that that Cowboy Bebop is still being celebrated with that stuff. Outside of that, I'm just watching the same old shows. Invincible, of course. I'm still really into. This latest one was one I would been waiting on to see how they would do it, and I thought they did a really good job with how they did it.
I was having I like that arc. I like that. It was just very weird that it was Aaron Paul.
Oh, it made it way funnier that it was Aaron Paul.
He's screaming the entire episode. Aaron Paul just yelling.
They came out with a shirt that made me laugh because Aaron Paul, there's a line he's known for, and that's a meme.
Yeah,
which is him yelling at he can't keep getting away with it.
Right.
And they made a shirt of Powerplex yelling he can't keep getting away with it.
Because it's like the whole episode.
Fucking killed
me.
It's
like 45 minutes of he can't keep getting away with it.
It really is, and it's even funnier the way like honestly like the way the show portrayed it made it more sad.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comic, the way they do it, it's more like, oh, this is all of your faults,
right?
Kind of thing. Especially the wife, because the wife eggs him on like the whole fucking comic.
Yeah.
Like even till the very end, she still has this like, yes, do it.
Yeah.
Like the fucking Emperor Palpatine, and then we all know what happens, kind of thing. But like, it's just fucking crazy. The way they did it made it much more like sympathetic than like, oh, you're just a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I thought that last week's one with the organization or the triad or whatever, like the mob stuff where the guy that takes over.
I feel like they plowed through that one because it's one of the lesser interesting things in the comic.
Yeah,
part of it.
It was probably the least interesting of the episodes that I saw this season.
It is completely different than the way the comic handled it too. Because my girlfriend's like, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, that's not how any of this happened. So like I did not see. Because there's a gag that I really love that never happened. That's one of the funniest in the comics, where when he does go to prison to break the guy out, the electric guy jumps out, and Invincible gets get the fuck back inside, basically. And he's like, I'm sorry, and he runs back inside, and it makes me laugh every time. But like, yeah, they didn't put it in the show, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, Invincible's still very much worth watching. So,
oh yeah, it's a really good show, and there's only I think a few episodes left of the season. So,
yep.
And I'm very, very, very excited for what comes next. So,
okay,
very, very excited.
Well,
I can't wait till you guys see it.
Speaking of stuff that everybody should be very excited for, let's start with our first showcase. We had the Annapurna Interactive showcase. This is a little bit of a weird one. Just quick preamble. I don't think you've been on the show when I've been talking about this, but you know that like Annapurna had like a big shakeup last year.
No, we were. Yeah, I think it was for both of those where it happened, and then what turned out most likely was the explanation for what happened,
right?
And then them, I think, deciding to do something else, or
like
something like that.
The whole team that was running Annapurna Interactive quit in solidarity.
Yeah. I think it's when they went and did something else too, if I remember correctly.
I think that the guy that ran Annapurna Interactive ended up running Annapurna Pictures during the pandemic, and then like when the lady who owns that came back in and kind of shoved him out, and then started fucking around with the leadership structure. So that whole team that was responsible for picking all those games left. Now, what I think is interesting is that was like 4 months ago.
It was a good while back.
So it's like the stuff that's on the docket right now is obviously stuff that those people were involved with picking out. So we'll have to see if Annapurna takes a hit as far as the quality of the games that they put out going forward, but probably not right this second.
This game's called Stick People. Right. I think it's innovative.
Annapurna Interactive is just going to start putting out all of the hentai games from Steam. They're going to publish all the hentai games on Steam.
This one's called What Are You Doing, Step Cousin?
And then it turns out that they're the most profitable publisher in all of video games because it's just gooner content on Steam.
This one's like, how do you get it unstuck from the washer?
That's right.
The game.
Oh, the time I died and went to a sexy sorority house as a cat.
Oh, jeez.
So anyway, there was some interesting stuff in here. I do think that it's kind of strange how I don't know. Some Annapurna stuff is so far up its own ass that I'm just like, I don't know if you watched any of this.
Well, that's what they're for, Jeff. Annapurna has been those people.
Sometimes they're, they put out the Outer Wilds, and
it's true.
It's a different thing.
But even then, if you ask certain people, they will say that about that sort of thing.
I mean, like this first one was this guy that made a game about riding a bike. And like it's a game we've seen it before. It's called what is it called? Wheel World.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, and it's like you're riding a bike and you can customize your bike. And you could ride around, and the guy kept saying like, "Yeah, man, you can just kind of do whatever. Like even if you don't want to do like a race or a delivery, you can just ride your bike around this world and look at the scenery." And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Like, I can also do that in Grand Theft Auto 5 if I wanted to.
Yeah,
so
I can do that in real life if I wanted to.
So you should probably make it worthwhile.
So I don't know. There's also, a giant glowing skull on the front of the bike.
That's true.
So I'm assuming there's something else going on in here, but they're real heavy in these trailers about like, man, you can put different parts on your bike and you can make your bike a different color. And I'm like, oh, okay, but what do you do? What do you do though?
Yeah, I remember the trailer for this a while back, and I was like, this looks like it could be interesting, but the more you say it, the more I was like, this guy just really likes bikes.
Yep. So I don't know. I mean, like maybe I don't know because they haven't been very upfront with it. But like, just ride around a world on a bike is not exactly my cup of tea. It's kind of like what happened with No Man's Sky at the very beginning when they were like, "Yeah, just go around and look at all this stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, but what do I do once I'm done looking at it?" And they're like, "Look at more stuff." And I'm like,
"You can gather some of it, I guess, to maybe look at more stuff."
Guys, I don't know if looking at stuff is the draw that I that you think it is.
That was the reason at first the original No Man's Sky didn't do well, because a lot of people were like, well, what do I do? It's like, whatever you want. Like, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So that's coming out summer 2025. Also, it's weird that I'm pretty sure that Messoff, the ones that made this, they're the Nidhogg team.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
like Nidhogg and Nidhogg 2, basically. From there, we got a very brief interview for Wanderstop. I'm actually really excited for Wanderstop. This guy over here, I forgot his name. He's the guy that made the Stanley Parable and Player's Handbook or whatever that game was called.
Yeah.
And Wanderstop is that game where you play as like an ex-adventurer that's working at a tea shop, but you've got all this trauma in your past that you're trying to deal with and how you deal with it. There was a really interesting interview with him where he was like, I thought that once I got done with the Stanley Parable and the beginner's guide that like I was really burned out. So I was like, I'll just take some time off and then I'll get unburned out. And he was like, and so I took some time off and then I was still burned out because that's not how being burned out works. Is you don't just stop. Like it leaves like a mark that you have to deal with.
Yeah, you gotta wait for a while. It's like burnout isn't like a cooldown. Burnout's like a broken cooldown.
Yeah,
where you have to do some stuff to repair it and then it starts going back.
Yeah.
So I get it. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I really like the art style in this. I really like this trailer. They've got this little like weird penguin Pokemon looking motherfucker who's like stealing the cups. Like he's taking all the cups from the tea house and like hiding them.
Oh, jeez.
And then it goes over to the main character and she's basically like brewing all this tea. And then it's really funny at the end. She brews a cup of tea. And then it's like her and this penguin is just getting closer to the cup, trying to take it. And she's like, no, fucking, it's for the customers.
Look at the birds like, well, fuck you then.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my collection of these little fucks.
But then it ends really sweetly because the bird is sad and she pulls up and gives him another cup. So, but yeah, there's a demo for that out right now, and then it's coming out in March.
That's pretty soon.
Got a release date March 11th. So
I know you've been very excited to see how this game really is.
Yeah, I love that guy. I think Stanley Parable and Beginner's Guide were both really, really cool.
Yes.
So I want to see more of that. From there, we got the announcement of this new game. I don't know if you saw any of this. This was Skin Deep.
I can't say I did.
So this is from Blendo Games, who they're the ones that did 30 Flights of Loving and Quadrilateral Cowboy, which are like
that one I know.
So you know how that he used to make those games where everybody had like a square head with like a face on it, and they were very open ended. So they're making this new game called Skin Deep, and you play as an space mercenary, like assassin, and the whole thing is that you're now an insurance commando on this ship that gets taken over by space pirates, and so as a you're basically dieharding your way through the ship, like trying to get rid of these guys. And so there's a lot of different ways where you can kind of put stuff together. You can like set traps, you can like blow people out airlocks. They show one part where you blow a guy at an airlock, but you grab his radio, and then like they're like checking in, and you're like, number 5, I'm checking in. And they're like, okay, great. They're there. And apparently the pirates don't die when they're shot. Their heads pop off and then get cryogenically like revived. So you've got to grab their head and take it to one of the ship's toilets and throw it in the toilet to jettison out into space.
Oh my god, what an insane idea.
And then there's also cats in the game, but the cats, like all the normal people are like rendered like people, but the cats look like Quadrilateral Cowboy. They're like square head with a cat face on it. I don't know, this whole thing looks fucking nuts, and I'm kind of into it.
It's an interesting concept.
So
that's the best thing about indie type of games, and you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
this is so insane looking.
Yep. So
they're doing a Die Hard. Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard.
Walkie-talkie Die Hard, motherfucker. Yeah. So yeah, there's flushing the head down the toilet. So
what an insane idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever this is, I want to give it a try. It looks fucking crazy. And totally. And it's also it's like neon soaked and real weirdly lo-fi and kind of strange looking.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going to be a fun, like, charming little thing.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Looks good. Which I think that's supposed to be some point this year. I don't know if it had a. Oh yeah, April 30th.
Okay,
PC.
That's pretty crazy.
On the PC. So, let's see. After that, we got. The guys from Cocoon are making another game.
Oh, okay.
No information, and then they're also making a vinyl soundtrack for the game, which was weird because the game had like procedurally generated music.
Oh, well, that's weird.
So they had to like canonize what their music is, basically.
That's such a strange thing to do.
Yeah. Well, like Portal 2 had that as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like for an indie type thing to do that, it's trickier. If that makes sense.
Up next, Lush Foil Photography Sim. This falls into the biking category of like, this is a game about walking around an Unreal Engine 5 world and taking pictures of stuff, of scenery, and I'm like,
look, Jeff, if there's no Pokemon to snap, what is the point of this?
Well, yeah, I don't know, like, sometimes I wonder if, one of the nice things about video games, you can literally make a video game about anything.
That's true.
Right? But sometimes people make a video game about something, and I'm like, I don't know if you should have made a video game about that.
Yeah, I have photo mode in Spider-Man. I don't need photo mode the game.
I mean, like, I don't know. This just makes me, like, it's very pretty, and you could take photos, but the idea that it's like, I don't know, this just kind of makes me sad that I can't go to these actual places and take pictures.
Honestly, that's the only reason to really play this, is if you're a kind of guy who's just like, well, I'm never really going to do this, so I might as well use it as like a walking simulator.
Right. So,
but even then, like, I don't think I would care that much.
I mean, this is obviously for somebody, right? Like, again,
I know somebody's gonna like this game.
As I've said before, there are plenty of people who play video games to relax.
Yes,
I play video games to be stimulated.
Actually, you know who's gonna love these games is the Europeans. This sounds weird, but the reason why a lot of those like farmer simulators and stuff exist and they sell really well is all of Europe is the one buying those. Because for some reason they love relaxing games.
Yeah.
Like they love just chilling out, mowing lawns for some fucking reason.
April 15th, that's coming out. So just in time for my birthday. Huzzah!
Yeah, you can take pictures of your birthday or whatever.
Next to this game called Far Away that appears to be it's like you're kind of a shooting star, and you kind of make constellations in order to keep power, in order to keep shooting. And the guy talked about playing it with one hand, and I was like, you jerk off to stars? No, I was like, but
that was my first thought too, to be honest.
I couldn't figure out how he was.
You can draw boobs with your star.
I couldn't figure out how he was playing it, and then as I watched it, I finally figured it out. Where the star is going in one direction, you don't control where it goes, but when it gets near another star, you can hit a button to like tether onto that star,
and just sort of moves that way,
and like change your direction or curve a little bit. So, and again, this one is like, a little. I don't know if this one has enough in it for me.
I don't really know what I would. I don't know. I don't know if I would like this or not. I generally don't know.
It maybe. I mean, maybe.
It's
but
so niche.
It seems just so. I don't know, specific and kind of like. I don't know if I'm going to be stimulated by playing a game that I could play with one button. I need a lot of buttons.
Well, it's not even like can I be stimulated by a game that I hit with one button? It's like, does this game make sense to want to play in general?
Yeah.
Like even if this game involved like intricacy things of like you got to control how the constellation is made by like doing like a fucking Street Fighter Akuma combo, it's like I still don't think I would want to.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't know. That's the tricky thing about those.
Let's see. From there, we got To a T, which was the game from the guy that made, I think it's Katamari, and then what was the other one? The PS3 one?
Oh,
Nobi Boy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. This is the T-posing one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's where the character is in a T-pose the entire time, and they're trying to live their life. Also, I just want to make sure that people remember, this is also the game where the entire team was dissolved because this guy was apparently a nightmare to work with.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember that about it, and everybody was like, "I don't want to do any of this shit."
Yeah. But then, this trailer is like the giraffe here, like singing a really catchy little indie song about how they get up every morning and make the sandwiches. They love to cook for people and they love to see people happy. The entire game is very like cutesy and stuff, but like behind the scenes, it's like, ooh,
no, it's a nightmare. It's always weird when you hear about stuff like that. It's like, oh, this the people who made like Barney the dinosaur was also a serial killer or something.
Right.
You're like, well, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's another instance of that. I feel like this.
I mean, and who knows? Maybe it'll be an okay game, and it wouldn't be the first time that a game studio has been very problematic, and then the end result has been something that I enjoy.
That's true.
Like
that also happens a lot.
There's a question about arts and art. Can you disconnect the art and the artist? And especially when it comes to video games, where we hardly ever know who the artist actually is. Like we only know a handful of developers.
That's true. We don't normally know what happens behind the scenes of anything when it comes to gaming, because unlike movie news, there isn't always somebody going, so and so, the writer of so and so thing,
right,
is making this thing with Tom Holland or something.
Yeah,
like the only time we ever hear that in gaming news is like Hideo Kojima hung out with like Guillermo del Toro or something,
right?
And then lately Sam Lake has now talked to like, fucking the guy from Smallville or something.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Outside of that, you will basically never hear any news story about them unless it's, something, another layoff story or something.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. This is coming out May 28th. And then finally, they really fucked the guy that made Morsels.
Really?
This is a game. It's like a little 2D kind of top down, like an isometric game where you play as a little mouse and then you eat like these weird little monsters called morsels, and they mutate you into different forms and you get different stuff. And it's got this really grungy lo-fi thing. They do not show a single frame of the video game.
Yeah, they just show this guy one thing from but it's like from the TV.
It's like they're filming the TV,
so you can't even tell what it is.
Yeah, and of all the games that are here, I actually really am interested in this one because it's got this real kind of grungy, lo-fi, dirty, and gross look to it. And they just have him talking about how like he got really obsessed with the texture of concrete, and the first thing he made for the game was the concrete texture. So
and you can't tell anything because it's like super far away and like unfocused because they're filming a television.
Yep. And then their final thing was basically an enhanced version of Sayonara Wild Hearts for the PS5.
That's fun.
Announced and released. Yeah. Did you know Queen Latifah's in that game?
I did not know that.
Queen Latifah like gives you says the score that you got. Like it's just some brief voice lines. Doesn't seem to like.
How did that even happen?
I don't know.
That's so weird.
I think I heard that on a podcast. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
I never played it
still though.
And anyway, that was the Annapurna show. Look, if you're into fartsy and you're into artsy, sure.
Yeah. Good luck. Good for them.
Okay, we're gonna try to move a little faster through the ID and Xbox. I was foolishly hoping that we could do all three of these in the first segment.
How would you think that was gonna happen?
I don't know. But we're gonna be a little bit more judicious because a lot of this Xbox stuff is stuff we already know about.
That's true. Yeah.
33 Immortals is launching on March 13th. That's the game where you play as 33 people. It's kind of a top-down action game. I think this thing is going to bomb dramatically.
Oh, probably.
Because I don't think it sounds like a fun concept.
Like, you got to get 33 different people to do this. This isn't like the Wonderful 101 where there's 33 fucking or 100 fucking things that you yourself control. These are all 33 different people.
Yep. I don't think that people are going to have much of an appetite for this, but I could be wrong. Who can say?
Who knows?
Balatro got a Friends of Jimbo 4 pack with Critical Role and Fallout and Bug Snacks and I think it was like Rust and like a bunch of weird shit. Assassin's Creed. There was some Assassin's Creed ones.
It's crazy to me. This man just made this weird card game, and everybody's like, "I want in."
Slay the Princess, Dead by Daylight. But the big thing is that it's out on Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
So Balatro is now on Game Pass. You can play it on Game Pass. Bada bing, bada boom. Good to go. So, let's see. Blueprints.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah. An interesting game that Amanda and I talked about at the State of Play, where you're basically assembling a house, but then there's like a secret to that house.
Yeah.
There's 45 rooms, and your goal is to find the 46th hidden room, and it's a time loop. So you try to kind of assemble this house in various ways,
because it's like to get like his inheritance or something.
Yeah,
for a dead uncle.
So it's kind of a puzzle adventure game, but you have the ability to kind of work with the environment more. We had a trailer for that. April 10th is when it's coming out. Also was announced it's going to be on Game Pass.
Oh, okay. That's definitely what this game should be on.
Yeah.
Because it's not the type of game that people are going to flock to like buy themselves.
Absolutely. 100%. Also, Buckshot Roulette is coming to Game Pass.
What a crazy game still. But it's such an interesting one.
It's a very strange game. I felt like we only scratched the surface when we played it. Apparently you could just walk around. Like all we ever did was play the actual game as opposed to like looking to try to find the secrets of the game.
Well, we just didn't know how to, because they're not spelled out kind of thing. So you have to really understand what it is.
No specific release date, but coming soon to PC and Xbox Game Pass. Buckshot Roulette is a great game to put on Game Pass. So I feel like people will download it and try it out and be like, oh, this is fucked up. I like it.
It also helps. It was on a lot of streaming stuff, so people will probably get it for a while.
Yeah. Descenders next. So Descenders, I don't know if you know what that is, but it was a game where you were downhill on a bicycle, and it was like procedurally generated.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like Trials a little bit, but it was different every time, and it was all just about riding a bicycle. They've got a new one called Descenders Next. It's also got like snowboarding and then like off-road skateboarding, as well as a few other things. And it looks like it's a little bit more like the third person kind of behind the back. I think the other one was like you were kind of looking from a distance.
Yeah. It looks interesting though. Looks like it'd be a decent time for people who love this type of thing.
I have to wonder how big the market is for the because I would have thought that Steep would have just bankrupted that Ubisoft.
Oh yeah.
But apparently they made like a second one.
People like really for some reason really love these like. I don't even want to hesitate to call them sports games.
Yeah,
they're like extreme sports.
Extreme sports games. Yeah.
And so people for some reason that's how the Tony Hawk games did so well.
Yeah,
people just really like these things in ways that they know they can't do in real life, but they find it really engaging.
I also think that. I think it has multiplayer. I don't think the other one had multiplayer. So I think the other one's just kind of a single player thing.
Also, usually sometimes it's up to the soundtrack as well, how well these do.
Yeah.
So hopefully this Monster Cat thing is doing well for them.
Yep. April 9th, also on Game Pass. So,
okay, well, that makes sense.
Yep, lots of stuff on Game Pass. Another game called Echo Weaver, again, coming to Game Pass. Lots of Game Pass stuff here. This is a 2D Metroidvania. They call it a Brainavania or a Metroid Brainia, I think is what they called it. I think that what it might be, I can't entirely tell from the trailer, but like you're going through a loop cycle. It's a 2D side-scrolling kind of action-adventure game, but I think that part of it is that like you can die relatively easily, and then the idea is that you'll when you come back, you'll have the information about how to get past that thing that you got past before, which may or may not be engaging. It just depends on like how hard the puzzle, how hard the the danger is, and whether I could get it on the first try, right? Like if I get killed by it once, then I'm like, oh, I know how to do that every time moving forward. Okay, well that's fine.
If you figure it out, like not only figuring out, but the second time also being like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I don't know how to do it, but you just keep fucking it up over and over again, then it's become very frustrating very quickly.
It's interesting though. I'm not the biggest fan of this art style because it's got this kind of puppet cutout animation, which I've never been a big fan of. But
I feel like a lot of the cheaper indie games have started using it more often.
Yeah. Well, it's really easy. That's why we used it at spill.com.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't look terrible, but I think I maybe need to hear a little bit more about it. That was weird. Did you see that at the end?
The cat?
When they flashed up the companies. It was Akupara. I thought it was Annapurna. I was like, why was this not in the Annapurna showcase? But this, I don't want to be too hard on this because it might be that with a little bit more information, it's totally up my alley. Like I really like that Ultros game, that was a kind of weird psychedelic Metroidvania game. I like a good Metroidvania. It just depends on what is the hook here. And I wasn't entirely clear from this trailer what the hook was. So
yeah, well, that's fair.
Hurdling is another one that falls into the category of like, I don't know that this is something that I'm at all interested in. You're like a homeless kid or something, and you find like a buffalo in a town and like decide to shepherd it back to the wilds, and then you like pick up other weird buffalo monsters. So you go from the town and then out into the wilderness, and you're herding these guys like with a little herding stick, and I don't know, like brushing them and throwing paint on them, and they're helping you do stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if a game about herding animals is something that I ever was really all that interested in, you guys.
No, I get it. I definitely get it because I don't really know who this is for.
Yeah. I don't know. It's being made by the team that made Far Loan Sales and Far the other one where you have the kind of the big land boat that you have to kind of do. Yeah. And I really like those games. So
as long as it feels like a good time, because here's the thing about games that involve herding is that they're either a giant pain in the ass, or they do fairly like easily. There's never anything in between where I feel like this is just right. So it's hard to tell with that sort of thing.
Yep. Hey, here's something crazy. We finally got some more news on Hotel Barcelona.
I had forgot about that thing entirely.
So this is the Suda51 Swery joint that is coming out. That is like 2D side scroller where you're fighting a bunch of off-brand movie monsters, but then also it's got a whole shitload of other weird crap in it. I don't know what. I know the main character in this trailer mostly is just using saw blade hands, but I know there are other weapons in the game. It's very like extreme and berserk and psychedelic and like got a lot of strange iconography going on.
It's going to be a really fucking interesting game.
Yeah.
Even if it's like not super great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still going to kind of want to play this.
Yeah. Swery's a little better about game mechanics than Suda is. But
true. Yeah.
Suda's a little better. Suda's sense of style is a little bit more my sense.
That's true.
So,
which is why this is full of style.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. I mean, I don't even know like the logo for the game is like this lady with an eye patch like freaking out, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like,
it just looks so interesting, guys. It really does.
And apparently the whole point of this trailer is that it's coming sometime in 2025. So
gotcha.
This is weird. So the site that I'm using for this to look at all this news is Xbox's website, and for like two of their items, they just don't have a trailer, including Jump Ship, which they gave IGN like a billion hours of. They gave them like a new build, a new trailer, and footage and everything, and they didn't embed it on their site. So I have it over here.
That's so weird.
Because Jump Ship looks like it's shaping up to be something very cool.
I think I've seen this. I swore I saw like a beta or something of this at one point.
There was like a teaser like 6 or 8 months ago where they showed it. But very like this last week, they had a whole bunch of new footage. They had a little like 10-minute sizzle reel. They had a trailer. But yeah, this is the one where you have like you have a spaceship and you got 4 people, but it also appears to have like a big first-person shooter element to it, where you're actually shooting
Because all of you control like different aspects of the ship and stuff, right? That was part of it.
Yes, like some people will shoot the turrets, and some people will fly, and some people will fix stuff on the outside. You can like walk around the outside.
Yeah, I swear I've seen people play this at some point.
There was a recent thing that came out that was like a beta. Now there is another game. Blake and I actually played it called Void Crew. That was
I remember you telling me about that.
That was kind of like
I might
this.
be thinking of that then.
Because I don't think this isn't out yet. This is coming out early access summer of this year.
Okay, yeah, I must be thinking of what you're thinking of then. But for some reason, I thought it was something that I'd seen before.
But this looks great. Like
I think I said that the last time I saw the trailer too.
Yeah. There was a part of one of the gameplay segments they showed was like, oh, you're engaging with these other ships, and it was a guy that like jumped out of the ship, rocket packed over to one of the enemy ships, shot the engine from the outside until it went nova, and then like jumped off of that ship and then pulled out a rocket launcher and like locked onto another ship and shot it, and then like jet packed back to the ship. And I'm God. Hell yeah, man, I want to play this game.
What an insane idea.
Even if they do put pineapple on pizza, which I don't actually mind. So
probably lasts longer in space.
Yep. Yeah, so Jump Ship looks great. Can't wait to play it. It's coming out during the summer. Let's see. Ooh, we're making much better time. Okay, good. We got a new story trailer for Liza P. Overture. That's the prequel DLC that's coming out.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know. I don't know if I know enough about the lore of Liza P to be able to explain what's going on here. There appears to be this other character. I don't know if she's in the main game who Pinocchio teams up with.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Pinocchio to say if I know who it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, it all looks like Liza P. Like, it looks nice. It's got some interesting art designs, got some kind of crazy enemy designs.
I swear if somebody made a movie of this, it would just be Timothée Chalamet. Or Chalamet.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, hey, again, Liza P did very well for that developer. Everybody thinks that it looks really good. So
I remember not being one of my favorite things because I had a hard time with the demo for it, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to even try this.
Yeah, it's a very like parry focused game. Like it's leans more to the Sekiro side than it does to the like block and attack kind of Soul side. So, but yeah, that should be Liza P Overture coming out this summer, I think. We got this reveal trailer for The Lonesome Guild, which is a new game from Don't Nod that did like Life is Strange and stuff.
That's so interesting to pivot to that.
Yeah, it's a very weird game. It's like you play as a ghost, like a
like a presence,
yes, like a Casper the Friendly Ghost. But then you team up with a bunch of other kind of misfits. So
that's fun.
There's like a little rabbit guy, and there's like a fox, and they're all like cast-offs and miscreants and people who don't have a place. And then it looks like it's kind of an isometric top-down thing where you're solving puzzles by switching between the different characters. And then there's also some like kind of rudimentary combat. It looks fine. I mean, like, I don't know. It's hard to say. This is one of those ones where it's like, it's hard to say without playing it.
Yeah,
whether it's actually fun.
It's probably more of like, do you like these characters as you're playing it kind of thing.
Yeah. Very different though. I'm like, but wait a minute.
Yeah, not what I would have expected when you said, "Oh, the people made Life is Strange made this."
Where are the teenagers that are having problems with their lives? I don't understand.
Maybe you recruit them later. Who knows?
Yeah. So I don't know. It looks all right. We'll see. We'll see. It's coming out this fall. Which every time I see anything saying we're coming out this fall, I'm like, when Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out,
Good luck,
are you crazy?
Good luck is all I have to say to that.
Moonlighter 2, which is the game where it's like the you run the item shop, but then by night you go to the dungeon, that thing.
Yeah, because don't you get the items from the dungeon and then sell them?
Yeah, you're trying to get to the dungeons, and then you bring the items from the dungeons back to the shop, and then you sell them. Which it seems like you should just sell them to somebody else's shop instead of opening a whole shop.
Yeah,
like
it seems kind of it's like an off-brand pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Looks fine. The big takeaway here is it's coming to Game Pass. So coming soon. Because it's 3D instead of 2D. The last one was like a 2D game. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, that was the other one. Outbound. So this game Outbound is you have like a VW van, and you're driving it like out into the middle of the wilderness, and then like it's like a tiny house situation where you can set it up, except that like it can literally deploy like a house on top of it.
Yeah, that was the most surprising thing. I thought it was just going to be the bottom part.
Yeah.
Like the way that family was in Venom 3 that just had that fucking van.
Right.
Like I thought that's what it was.
But then yeah, you could really deploy what seems like way too much house on top of this van.
Yeah, this van would not have the capabilities to hold this sort of thing.
Which like, hey man, you know what? I'm not immune to I watch a bunch of tiny house mobile content stuff on YouTube. So I think the idea of letting you build your own like tiny house van thing and then drive it somewhere and then do something with it is interesting. But the putting an entire house on top of the van really kind of fucks me up somehow. Like,
well, it's because like there's only so much. Like your brain's like the physics of it don't make sense.
Right.
You can't get over it. Even
and
though
everything else is relatively normal looking.
Yeah, even the van in the promo art looks like a normal idea for that.
Yeah.
Instead of an entire house over it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's very, very weird.
That's so weird.
It's very weird. Oh boy. Oh god, we still have so many more. Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna have to take a break in just a minute, but before we do, let's finish up with Ratatan. Okay, Ratatan, Michael, is Patapon, but for the Xbox.
How the hell did that happen?
But the developer that made Patapon, they were out of work, and Xbox was like, give me one. So you watch this, and it's just Patapon, where you have little guys. They've got little weird things on their faces. They're just off-brand Patapon. And then instead of going pon, Patapon, you go tat, tat, rat-a-tat. And that's literally what this trailer is. And I was like, okay, that's just fucking Patapon, you guys.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know, hot take here, Michael. I don't know that Patapon was ever something that I wanted to play for more than about 10 minutes. Like,
well, it was, there used to be handheld games.
Right.
So that's kind of what it was, is you were only playing it for like a small amount of time at a time.
Yeah.
Because those PSPs did not have very long lifespans on them.
True.
So having to do this on a larger screen is very strange to me.
It's very weird.
Makes sense.
It's very weird. I don't really understand it. I didn't like Patapon enough to want to play an off-brand Xbox brand Patapon, but
and it's not even like it's that off-brand, because even the text looks very similar.
Yep, it's very similar. It's
weird.
surprising how similar it was. So, yeah,
that's fucking weird. That's all I have to say about that.
Yep. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a break. Oh boy! When we come back, we're gonna have to have the lightningest of all lightningest rounds because I put too many stories. But yeah, so get ready for that. We'll see you back here in just a minute for more of the podcast. And we're back. We've still got some more Xbox left to go. Some more ID at Xbox left to go.
No one's ever said that about Xbox, by the way.
We got a trailer for Revenge of the Savage Planet that showed off some of the weapons from it. A lot of goo-based weapons, like a lot of like splattering goop on monsters and then detonating it or doing different things with it. I don't know. I really like the first one of these, so I'm excited to try out the second one.
It was a very popular game, the first one. When it came out.
The big thing here is that this is going to be on Game Pass, and it's coming out on May 8th. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Revenge of the Savage Planet. We got the world premiere for Rock Beasts. Which is a game where you play as the manager of a rock and roll band. This was a little strange, Michael, because the characters in this game look like they are from BoJack Horseman.
I was about to say, they literally look like BoJack Horseman characters.
The woman who did all the designs for BoJack Horseman on Blue Sky was like, I had nothing to do with this. So I went and found some Reddits that were like, well, it isn't the first time that you put animal heads on people. That's a thing, and they're not exactly like BoJack Horseman, but they're like 70% like BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, the deer is very similar. I think it's just that her neck is longer that makes her slightly different.
Yeah.
Same with some of the other characters, but it's so just like these are just fucking BoJack Horseman characters.
Yep.
That I kind of love that about it.
Yeah.
And it's just something so funny about it. I just want BoJack to randomly show up in it now, and I know he's not, but like. This is so similar. It's so ridiculous.
It's very weird. And so it's basically just kind of like a little visual novel where you're managing this band and you get to make different choices and then you get to see them play out. It all looks like it's animated because they're using these kind of simple characters. There does look like there's a fair amount of animation. It's also kind of this cutout. Like,
here's the thing, Jeff. If you told me this was an Adult Swim show, I would have believed you.
Sure. No, 100%. No, I get it. Like, it looks an awful lot like I had to go look it up because I was like, well, surely this is some kind of weird BoJack Horseman spinoff.
It just feels like it, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of interesting. It's coming out sometime this year. I don't know.
I kind of want to play this.
like a good rock and roll band game. So
yeah, it looks like it could be a fun time.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Let's see. We also got another trailer for Tanuki Pon's Summer, which is the thing where you play as a tanuki that gets apparently told by the tanuki god that he's got to go become a delivery guy.
You need to use your big balls for good.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't have them, unlike most tanukis.
I think he might have them at some point, but I don't know. But anyway, this is like you're delivering stuff, but then there's also a bunch of mini games, and you're in a little Japanese village over the summer. It's little anime pieces, and you do little mini games and meet fun characters and do stuff.
It's got a cute little animation style.
Yeah, it's a little cell shaded. So yeah, it looks all right. Like, nothing big, like nothing revolutionary, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cutesy little thing.
It's fine. Coming to Game Pass. And I believe, this is another one where they were like late 2025 on Game Pass, and I'm like, are you fucking crazy? You stay away from late 2025 video games. You put it in 2026, okay?
Yeah, not everyone has Grand Theft Auto, buddy. So they're like they're betting on those Game Pass people.
We got a new trailer for Tempopo.
I almost forgot about this one.
Yep. Where it's made by the team that made Unpacking, and you play as a little girl, and it's like a little musical thing where you set up these kind of they're like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker levels.
Yeah.
But
little dioramas.
You set up like these little slime guys, and they each do different things, and then when you hit the go button, you kind of watch them and see if they do what you want, and then it's all set to a little song, so everybody moves on the beat, and it's very cute. It's got the little girl that's the conductor in the corner. When like bad stuff happens, she makes a little face and stuff. So
fun fact about the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker thing, for people who don't know this, is the guy had originally pitched it as a Zelda game. Because Zelda, Link's not known for jumping in those old games.
Sure.
So he thought it would be fun, and Miyamoto is just like, so do you want to just sell dioramas of Zelda? Was his reaction? He's like, no, I want to make a game. He's like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, what if it was Toad instead? And he's like, I guess.
And that's coming out April 17th, and it's also going to be on Game Pass. So a lot of Game Pass. Tron Catalyst got a release date. This is
the action one, right?
Yeah, Mike Bithell kind of it's a time loop thing in the Tron universe that plays. It looks an awful lot like Hades, like kind of isometric. And then you're kind of
Troides, they call it.
Yeah, you're like redoing the day in order to see if you can figure out how to escape from the system. You're stuck in a loop, which actually is an interesting conceit for a computer-based thing, right?
Yeah,
like
that is a very interesting idea that your computer would do something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Tron is one of those things that like I always loved the idea of Tron, but people have never really done too many interests. Have never really pushed it the way I want them to, if that makes sense.
I really liked Tron 2.0. That old game, that old first-person game, but like that's an old game. So
I don't even mean just games though. I mean like in general. Like the second movie wasn't all that interesting to me. Like after a while, and then they have the third one still has been in development hell for a long time. I know that they were very close to it finally being done for once.
Yeah.
And the one time I thought something they did was really good. It was a Disney show that got canceled. I think after like a season or two.
They actually mentioned the main character from that in this trailer.
Okay.
They're talking about Heroes of the Grid, and they mention the woman that Olivia Wilde played in the movie, and then they actually I had to look it up because I had no idea who the character was. It's like Cora or something like that, and then they mentioned the main character from that show, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, Martin got me in that show. He's like, no, it's actually really good. Because it's like Batman Beyond, but with Tron, and I thought that was really cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ultimate Sheep Raccoon is coming to Game Pass. This is the sequel to Ultimate Sheep Chicken, I believe was what it was called.
Yeah.
A 4-player online kind of like...
Ultimate Horse Chicken,
Horse
I think
Chicken,
it was called. And this I've seen the people they've given... There's a demo out of it for it right now.
Yeah.
And I saw some old Rooster Teeth people playing it because they were known for playing the original game a lot.
Right.
And so they played the demo, and it looked even crazier than that one because the difference between that one was when you get hit by a trap, you die immediately. Yeah. In this one, as long as your bike lands in like a safe spot, you can keep going. So it makes for even crazier ones. So you're not automatically dying right away. So it makes for more like
so you
tense
play
situations. Yeah, it's really interesting, and it looks fantastic.
Okay.
So I'm very happy for the people for these guys making another what seems to be another game that will be super popular in streaming above a bunch of people, kind of thing.
I looked it up and I didn't see a modern trailer, so I didn't put a trailer down.
Yeah.
Wax Heads is coming, and this is coming in 2026. This is another kind of, I don't know, visual novel, but with some other elements where you work at a record store.
Okay.
And so I think it's kind of similar. You got people that it might be the thing that it might be most close to is like a management game of like, oh, you have to stock stuff, and then you have to like you get it, you put it in a bag, you do the checkout and stuff. The cool thing I think about it is it's got a really kind of nice art style. Reminds a little bit of like Scott Pilgrim a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah.
But then they've got all of these like albums that are fake albums that have like really like nice looking cover art the way that an album would have, and like different stuff. So I don't know what all is going on in here, but I think it's an interesting idea. I'm interested in seeing kind of where it goes.
Well, kind of the other thing it kind of reminds me of is the way Papers, Please has the people come in.
Yeah.
You do something for them, and then you either get them in or out. It's similar to that, but like instead of a horrifying world that you're living in, you're just selling people records.
Right.
And I think that's kind of fun.
Yep. And then last but not least, we got I don't know if the order that this shit was in is the order that was in the thing, but if it was, this is a strange one for me to end on. We've seen this before. This is a game called Woodo, where it's like it's the story of this woman that moves, a young lady that moves to like a rural town, and the whole thing looks like it's carved out of wood. It's like these little dioramas that are carved out of wood, but then you have like a bunch of the pieces, and you basically just have to like put these items where on the item in the world. So you'll have like a coffee cup, and there's like a coffee cup with no texture, and then when you put the cup on the coffee cup, it looks a little bit more realistic, but everything still looks like it's carved out of wood.
So it's like slowly building the world out as you're doing it.
It's slowly building out, I think, like little individual scenes.
That's fucking weird. It's interesting but weird.
Yeah, and then all the characters are little animal people. So the main character is this little fox, and there's like, kind of geese and chickens and
Isn't it like animal people characters have been on like a huge rise again?
Yeah.
I feel like we there was a time frame we stopped seeing that, but now it's all over the place again.
True. It looks charming enough. It was very strange, though. It doesn't seem like there's a lot to do in it. Like you're just kind of...
It feels more like an I Spy game than anything else, or just like almost like a coloring thing, perhaps.
It could end up being... it could end up having that Power Wash Simulator DNA, where it's just so goddamn satisfying to put it all together that you're just like, oh yeah, I'll play this.
It's like it's like building a model. I think that's part of the fun of it, and it's relaxing because sometimes a game like that is more relaxing than doing like a chore type game.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, at least.
Yep. Yeah, and that was it. That was ID at Xbox.
That's crazy that's the last thing their site shows.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, also this is just a little roundup. So the Game Pass 2025 games, or the games that were on Game Pass in that announcement were Balatro, 33 Immortals, Descenders Next, Blueprints, Tempopo, Revenge of the Savage Planet, Moonlighter 2, Tanuki, Pawn Summer, Buckshot Roulette, Echo Weaver, and Ultimate Sheep Raccoon.
That's a good amount of stuff.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yep. Game Pass. I think Game Pass continues to pay for itself. So
yeah.
Let's see. We also got a Pokemon Presents. We are not going to go over everything in Pokemon Presents. We're going to go over two things.
Because some of them are like card game related too.
Well,
so.
some of them are card games. Some of them are like, oh, there's new. They always have to go, and there's a new thing for this game. There's a new thing for this game. There's a new thing for Pokemon Unite, and I don't give a shit. So
that's fair.
There were only two things that I gave a shit about. One was, oh fuck, I don't even know. I don't have like timestamps for this. Oh, is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. One was, oh no, that's a different story. Where is this? Okay, one is this Pokemon Champions. So they had this rather long trailer that started with like two kids playing over like
the link cable,
the link cable on the original Game Boy, and then they went to the N64, and they kind of went through the whole shabazz over the years of different people playing Pokemon adversarially over devices. And then it ends with like a woman on a cell phone and a guy on a Nintendo Switch, like in different places, like fighting. So this is going to be a just an adversarial Pokemon game where it's just about like you are fighting other people and their Pokemon, not an RPG. There might be training. I don't know. There's not. This is all there was. So it's not like a big all that clear. But like, it's strange to think that there's not really a thing like this outside of like the TCG or maybe like if you have two Switches. I don't know if you can battle in Violet and
you can always battle in them, but I think the difference is the fact that like now that you don't even need a Nintendo to do it,
right?
I think is and you don't have. I feel like because I think the reason why they're showing some of the stuff off, especially Pokemon Stadium specifically, is Pokemon Stadium wasn't a game where wasn't a normal Pokemon game. You weren't running around training the Pokemon,
right?
Fighting the fighting for badges and stuff. It was just a Pokemon versus Pokemon battle,
right?
The same way every other Pokemon game was, but fancier, kind of thing. And at the time that made sense, but nowadays not as much. But I think this is them just being like, well, now you just like we know you're an adult now. And you don't have time for that adventure bullshit. Right. You just want to fight to the death. Yeah. I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're selling it to. I think that's why everyone they show in it is an adult.
Yeah.
Like outside of the younger kids playing the link cable stuff. So I think that's why I think it's just only versus things, period.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fun idea.
And we don't have
depending on how it works.
We don't have very much more information than that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't really know because I'm not into the Pokemon, so I don't really know.
Oh, not anymore.
I don't know how popular that would be, but my gut says pretty popular. If Pokemon Unite is still a thing, if that is still a thing,
I'm still shocked that's still a thing. I thought that was one of the ones that were going to die, and no, it's
they were adding 3 new characters to Pokemon Unite this year. So, yes. So then the other one was we got a full trailer for Pokemon ZA, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
The one that's taking place in this is like one of the DS games was in the region that this takes place in.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but I know exactly what it is. Because it was
Kalos region.
Because I want to say it was like Y or something. X and Y, I think, is where you're there.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this, it's got a very kind of like, it's interesting that they've got like the Tokyo Tower, but it's kind of also sort of Parisian.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like a Paris thing because I think it's supposed to be like where the Eiffel Tower is, but they made it a different type of tower.
And it very much looks like Arceus or Scarlet Violet, where you're running around in third person and you're throwing out the Pokeballs to do the thing. It looks like there's some kind of traversal stuff that you'll end up doing. The thing that I don't know how well you can see this, Michael, but the thing that I was interested in was this looks like it's either running on the Switch 2 or that they've done a lot of work to make the engine run way better, because
I was about to say,
if this is actual gameplay, this looks miles better than Scarlet and Violet looks.
Well, yeah, those games were fucking running real bad.
They were rough.
Like they got a lot of shit for that, so they really wanted to make up for it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Switch 2 only game because of that reason.
Or it's on both, but the footage they show will be just the Switch 2 footage.
That does happen a lot.
And it'll look rough on the regular Switch. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, this just looks like another Pokemon game. Like they've got a kind of a thing where the city has like nature preserves where there's just wild Pokemon, so it's like that's the way that you would go catch Pokemon is in these like parks and whatever throughout the city. They do. I don't know if these are new guys, but they did announce the starting Pokemon.
No, these are all old guys. The only difference is that
Tepeg and Totodile.
Like, it's weird that 2 of these were starters for a specific generation, and the fire one is a different one.
Oh, okay.
I think it's purely because the animation probably was harder on the original one than it was on that one. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because why else would you do that?
Who knows? I mean, they might have a reason outside of that, but who the fuck knows? And then there's a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of crazy people in the town, and you got to interact with them, and you got to
maybe
do
that Pokemon got canceled because that Pokemon was that one that story about that woman. That's what that Pokemon was.
Okay,
he got canceled. He's not allowed to work for Pokemon anymore.
Oh God,
he lost his job.
He got too
the world's
spicy,
too woke,
too spicy. Yeah, they canceled the Pokemons.
Poor chicken. Poor bastard.
But yeah, I mean, this just looks like another Pokemon game. I hope that it runs this well. I really hope this is Switch footage and they somehow managed to make it work, because
I would love for that to happen.
I don't want
Pokemon people deserve better.
I want Pokemon people to have nice, clear, sharp video games that aren't muddy and shitty and run like ass.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was a Pokemon Direct. There was some other stuff. Whatever. There's an update to Pokemon Sleep. Fuck off. I don't give a shit.
Put you to sleep?
Yeah, put me to sleep. Okay, so we've got 30 minutes and a whole bunch of tabs, Michael.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
all right, you ready? A lot of these are duplicates or they're different parts of the same story. But let's see how much we can do before we run out of time and we have to just go full lightning mode. Pokemon Company settled a lawsuit against this company that made Pocket Monster Remake on the phones.
Of course they did.
What's funny about this is I was like, so you never can tell in times like this, Michael, whether the company is being unreasonable or not. And it's like, oh, well, how close is it really to Pokemon, or is this some fucking Power World shit?
Yeah.
And then I looked it up and it was like, no, they're using the iconography and the names and the characters.
That was fucking Ash.
It says Squirtle, Charmander,
it's just the same attack. They didn't even change the name of the attacks.
Yeah,
everything is exactly.
This was just like a full on.
That's just a badly drawn Professor Oak.
Yep, full on ripoff of Pokemon.
Oh my God, I love how everybody's art style difference because they're probably like AI or something,
or just drawn by different people.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's total
Holy
ass.
Shit.
But I'm like, okay, no, that's legit.
You know what this reminds me of? Like a Newgrounds game.
Yeah.
It's but somebody sold this on an Android.
But there was a thing that was monetized.
Yeah.
There was a company behind this. They were estimated to have generated $42 million a year. They've been around for 2 years.
They were around for 2 years?
So Pokemon Company asked for $72 million in damages and was granted it. So at first they were like, oh no, wait, they were ordered to pay $15 million in damages, and they were like, that's unreasonable. That's a lot of money. And I'm like, bitch, you just fucking you full on stole it. There's a difference between I have a lot of grace for Power World, but you just copied Pikachu.
You didn't even put Ash in a wheelchair with the Mohawk.
With the Mohawk,
guys.
exactly.
You didn't even try.
You didn't even try.
What the hell's wrong with you people?
Yep. So, yeah. Let's see. Another bad copyright news. This was interesting. There was a guy that made a game on Steam called, his name is Steel Krill. He made a game called The Backrooms 1998. And apparently, some other company downloaded the entire game on Steam, changed some of the assets, and then uploaded it to both the Switch and PlayStation Store.
Oh my goodness.
And got it on there to start selling it. And so now this poor guy has to go and try to get this taken off, and it's really bad.
That's horrifying. That's so fucked.
They really he had a little thing where they just show side to side, and they changed some of the shaders,
the filters too,
on it,
made it brighter.
Yeah, but not in a big way. It's still the exact same assets. So
yeah, they just changed the angle on some of these camera shots.
Well, and it's possible that these might have been just from taking these, right?
Still though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, here's this graffiti, and it's just the exact same stuff.
This is ridiculous.
I honestly think that we've talked about this a number of times in the past that Sony, like the people that run those shops, they get a chunk of everything that is sold on them, and that chunk should go towards making sure shit like this doesn't fucking happen.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. This is ridiculous that this even happened to begin with.
The least you could do is do some TinEye searches and go to Steam. I mean, like, if you're making that money, some of that money should have to go towards protecting the people that that are using your platform. So
absolutely horrifying.
Yep. Really does suck. Really does suck. Let's see. Speaking of stuff that sucks, this is big news from last week.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers got out there. I know I didn't say there were going to be no studio closure stories. I just said that it wasn't going to be all studio closure stories.
Well, this is what, 3 different studios closed?
3 different studios. So Monolith shut down, Warner Brothers shut down Warner Brothers San Diego, who apparently was working on something, but they weren't out there.
Yeah.
Player First Studios that made Multiverses, which I think that when Multiverses was shut down, I was like, it's really only a matter of time until this happens.
And it was a first-time studio, too. That was their first and last game.
Yeah. But then the big one was Monolith.
Yeah.
Monolith, who was working on a Wonder Woman game. They've been working on it for a few years now. Apparently, they already had like $100 million worth of investment in it or something.
They put a lot of investment in it. Gail Simone apparently had saw what it was.
Yep.
Because if you guys don't know, Gail Simone is a huge comic book writer. She's known for writing a very well-received run of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
As well as a bunch of other characters, of course. But she had said, like, it was wonderful. It was extensive, stuff like that. But we never saw any of it outside of that very first trailer.
Very true. Monolith, it sucks so bad because, like, I really hate that we live in this world where, like, Monolith is not a studio. Like, okay, listen, I feel bad for Player First. I feel bad for everyone who loses their job. I just want to say that out in the open. And then we'll use the magical word. But Monolith has been around since, like,
they've been around for a very long
1997. They put out Blood.
They're
like,
an
that's
OG
what put them on the map. And they made Shogo, Mobile Armor Division, which is kind of a crappy game, but I love it. They made No One Lives Forever 1 and 2, and they made that Tron 2.0 game that I was talking about. They made the Matrix Online. They made Fear
games,
all the Fear games, all the Condemned games, and they made the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War.
I didn't know they made Gotham City Imposters. Oh, that's interesting. That game, for people who don't know, is a very weird fucking game.
Ass. This game was ass.
No, yeah, it wasn't very good.
Instead of having Batman and the Joker fight, it's a bunch of Batman and Joker fanboys fighting in the streets of Gotham.
And the way they ended each one was really like, it was weird. If you won the Batman side, Batman came and arrested you all.
Yeah.
If you won the Joker side, Joker showed up and murdered you all. It was ridiculous.
Very weird.
Absolutely ridiculous shit.
But yeah, so that blows chunks. That's really, I mean, like, okay, I have heard this one thing and I wanted to throw it out there, the idea that, like, sometimes these games are in, like, pre-development for like 5 years with a full staff, and they probably need to stop doing that as much, because, like, a lot of times if you're making a third-person action game, do you really need 2 years of skunk works and like concept art and fucking around if you're going to be making a kind of standard third-person action game?
Yeah.
Like, maybe not. But the thing that really smarts about this for me is that this also means that the Nemesis system is locked up and fucking nobody's going to use it forever.
It's ridiculous.
Like, they copywrote the Nemesis system and it doesn't come out of the initial patent until 2036, and Monolith was the only one working on that. And apparently, in that Wonder Woman game, they were actually trying to use it in there. I'm like, there are so many games. License it. Just license it. Like, don't even like let people use the code to do stuff, because there's so many games. That system rules, and there's so many games that would be better with a Nemesis system.
Oh,
like
100%. Hell, that Mad Max game that came out would have been 100% better with the Nemesis system.
Dude, Arkham, the last Arkham one, Arkham Knight, would have been great with the Nemesis system.
There's
right?
so many games where the Nemesis system would change everything.
Yep.
And I've read people on Reddit talking about this thing. Like, well, the Nemesis system, other people are doing things but like similar, and then I read what they were. I'm like, well, that's not even. That's like when you drink a one of those sparkly waters that are flavored.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it tastes like if you're in the same room as an orange. Like, it's that sort of like, oh, it's the same. I'm like, no, it is not.
Yeah.
I know you keep saying it's the same, but it's not the same. Yeah. It's like, guys, I get why you think it's like it's not the end of the world, but to me it is, because nothing's like it. There's nothing else like it.
If other companies are doing that, none of them have been have had the same hit as the actual name brand Nemesis system.
Exactly. And that's what frustrates me, that people were just like, oh, there's plenty of things like it. And they're like, and then they give their reasons. They're like, no, it's not. And this is the same thing that happens to so many other things.
Yep.
Bandai Namco had did this a while back. A lot of people forget about this. It was that Bandai Namco used to have the patent for mini games inside of loading screens.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the reason why if you played every one of those Dragon Ball games, there's like a little mini game you can play in it. And I remember as a kid, I was like, well, why is this the only thing that's doing this? I was like, well, it turns out because there was a patent.
Yeah.
But the problem is that even if the patent expires, it doesn't mean that the people are going to start using it right away.
Yep.
And that's what sucks about this, because I hope the second this thing expires that everyone just fucking makes a billion of these things with it.
Yeah.
But I can't be sure that will even happen, and that frustrates me.
And
that's also fucking 12 years from now, or 10 or 11 years from now. It's frustrating as hell.
It is. It very much is. We talked about Gail Simone said that the game was great. Like everything that she saw, the game was great. Also, there was a kind of an irritating quote. It was like from an internal thing. So Warner Brothers is now focusing on Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC in general, and Game of Thrones. DC, I think, is the fact that Rocksteady is apparently trying to make another Batman game.
Well, I think the other thing is that I know James Gunn a long time ago said that if we start that we will start doing a lot of things with the DC brand as a whole, like the new DC universe he's making.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, we want things to connect all the time, like TV shows, movies, and he mentioned games at one point.
Okay,
so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's talking about.
That'd be great. That'd be great as well. But yeah, here's a quote from J.B. Perrette, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO and president of global streaming services. Quote, getting our swagger back happens one high-quality game release at a time, and our financial credibility gets rebuilt one fiscal quarter at a time, delivering what we said we would deliver and no big negative surprises. Apparently, they need to get their swagger back. I have news for Mr. Perrette. Warner Brothers is a bad idea machine.
Yes.
They do not know what to do with shit, and they never have. I was at my house the other day, and they mentioned, they were like, oh my God, I saw that new Superman trailer. That looks really good. And I just started vomiting Superman, Zack Snyder, fucking, I don't like it. I don't want to go down there because you and me, we get off on that tangent.
No, I'm not going to go on that tangent right now.
But Warner Brothers is garbage at everything. Like
yes.
they make the worst decisions, and from time to time they accidentally make a good decision.
Yes.
But most of the time it's just bad.
Their TV decisions somehow work out more than the rest of their decisions. But god damn, how do you keep fucking these things up?
How are you the license holder of the two most popular superheroes in the entire world that everyone knows? And yet you can't seem to figure out what the fuck to do with them.
Not only them, but like some of the oldest properties that are still well known to this day.
Yep.
And they do nothing with them.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this real fast, and we got to move on because you and I get stuck here.
Talk about this for a while. Yes.
Why was there not a Batman movie? Has there not been a Batman movie since Christopher Nolan? Everybody wants to go see a Batman movie, like. They're talking about Batman versus Superman, but like a full-on Batman movie.
The Batman?
Oh, the Batman. I'm sorry. That was so crappy. I forgot about it.
That's why I was like, I'm sorry. What happened?
Yep. Okay, you're right.
I know they made the Batman.
You're right. It just slid out of my brain because I hated it so much. Sorry. That was on me, everybody.
That's why.
Everybody was
I wish you guys could be here to see the look on my face that
That's
I made
true.
that Jeff realized he said something stupid.
I was like, wait, was there one? Yeah. I mean, a Batman movie that I liked.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That's what I wanted. All right, we got 15 minutes. Time to go into Ultra Lightning.
That was great. I love that. That was the best thing ever.
NetEase has been hacking away, getting rid of stuff. This week we got the news that there were a few different projects that are not getting cut. Okay. So that was actually a good thing. One of them is the Blood of the Dawnwalker, that thing that was from the Witcher guys.
Oh, okay.
There's also a studio called Fantastic Pixel Castle that's working on an MMO that's still being funded. And then there's Anchor Point Studios that is building just an adventure game that we don't know about. So there's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 like active development things from NetEase that are their pullback has not affected, which is good to know. There is a strange one of the original Yakuza creators, Toshihiro Nagoshi, he left to start his own company to do something kind of like Yakuza with a buy-in from NetEase, and apparently they said like they didn't cancel the game, but they're just like, no more money.
Oh,
so
there's just no more funding.
So they're desperately trying to figure out what all they can cut to like squeeze the game together to put it out. But this also means that NetEase specifically said no promotion or advertising. So this game from one of the creators of Yakuza is probably just going to like come out of nowhere, and then like
it'll so be weird.
A question of whether it gets like word of mouth or something. So
those poor bastards. That's such bullshit.
I know. Gaming industry sucks. Yeah, so that happened. Let's see. In other bad news, physical copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows are already in the wild and being played.
Of course they did. Fucking hell.
Yep. Boy, these guys can't catch a break. And apparently Ubisoft is like, please don't spoil yourself, and also like there's a day one patch, so like what's on the disc is not the final product.
That happens a lot, guys.
So
although there was one game where that happened and it was the funniest goddamn thing imaginable.
Wait, which one?
That Tony Hawk 5. When Tony Hawk 5 leaked, they'd got the physical disc, but they didn't have the day one patch.
Yeah,
and it was so bad.
Oh,
and so everybody was like, "This game's garbage," and they're like, "The day one patch will come out," and it was still garbage, which made it even funnier.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, they always talk about day one patches, but there's like everything isn't solved with your day one patch.
No.
So
they make it sound like it's going to fix everything no matter what. It's going to suck your dick once it comes out, and then it doesn't. And then they're like, well, what are we going to tell you guys?
Yep. This is a strange story. Speaking of early access, so here's a question, Michael. Forza Horizon 5 is coming out on the PlayStation 5.
I forgot about that.
Yep. And Forza Horizon 5 is coming on the PlayStation 5 with a collector's edition that's $100 that gives you 5 days of early access to Forza Horizon 5.
Of course it did.
And people are like, this game came out in 2021. Why are you selling early access? Like, you could buy Game Pass and play it on your phone. Like
there's a lot of ways you can
right now.
Yeah,
like
that's stupid.
You can play it on a PC. You can play it streaming through like a Chromecast. There's a lot of ways that you could play this early outside of paying a lot. So I thought it was an interesting idea of like, so if a game is coming out on another platform that's never been out on before, does it make sense to have an early access period? Or does this just put the spotlight on the lie of like, this is not a value add, this is just garbage? Like,
in fact, I guarantee you that this will happen with that Indiana Jones game.
Yeah,
because I think it was in that game when they did it for the Xbox too. That it had a 5-day if you bought like the $100 bajillion one.
Oh yeah, I think it did. But you know, the other thing to point out is that a lot of times when that happens, then it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Suicide Squad, where like
they come out with it's like, this is the early access one, and here's the fun part. Sometimes the day one patch isn't during that time frame.
Yep.
So all you've done is fuck yourself. So fuck, guys.
Yep. So yeah. In other Microsoft news, there's now finally been confirmation that Microsoft has been using, or that Activision has been using AI to generate assets inside of Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Like last year at Christmas, you had this kind of zombie Santa Claus thing that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers on the right hand. Yeah. Art departments, how hard is it? I could fix that, Michael. I could fix that so that it only had 5 fingers and it looked normal using Photoshop and its AI filter. But like, but what happened was this week, the Steam page for Black Ops 6 was updated because Steam requires, if you use AI, there's a disclaimer that you have to fill out saying, what did you use? What was generated using, what was made using AI here? Yeah. And Black Ops 6 was updated to basically say that like some of those assets were generated via AI.
That's so funny.
So, yep, that's here's another 6-fingered hand.
Jesus Christ.
But
AI slop, guys.
Yep.
All it does is make you look like dumb. All you have to do, here's the thing, like you said, if you did it and then you fixed it afterwards, I don't think anyone would have cared because they wouldn't have noticed as well. Or because a lot of gamers don't really pay that much attention to load screens.
Yeah, or again, it's one of those things where it's like, I think that there are uses for AI. I don't know why they keep jumping to the worst use for AI.
Oh, because they think it'll save them money, but all it does is lose them credibility.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Like, I don't know. You could totally generate an AI image and then hand it to an experienced Photoshop artist or digital artist to like touch up and do some stuff with and like make it look a little bit better, and then have something that wasn't as easily recognizable. But the fact that it's like, bitch, if you're working with AI, the first thing you do is count the fingers. Like that's the deadest of all giveaways.
It's the funniest of all giveaways.
Yeah. But
all I know is Inigo Montoya would be very busy if AI was a thing during that time frame.
I don't know. I wish that they would try using AI for good instead of like, no, we just want to fire everybody and then use AI to make the entire thing. And it's like, I don't think it's going to go the way you think it's going to go.
No, it never does.
So
they always delude themselves into thinking it will, Jeff, but it might work for them.
No, there was a thing last week where Microsoft has this thing where they trained an AI engine with bleeding edge. You remember that?
Oh, that's right.
That game?
Yeah.
And then it was like, but what it was you would feed in like 3 seconds of footage, and then it would project that footage forward by like 2 minutes by generating like a multiplayer. Like they showed it a bunch of multiplayer, and then they were like, okay, here's the first 40 frames of a multiplayer match. Show me what happens later, and then it would kind of generate like more footage based on the first thing. And I'm like, what use is this?
I really don't know what the use is, other than like trying to see if they could figure out what a player would do to give them surprises, I guess.
Possibly?
I don't know. There's like, I can see a way of using that in a way that isn't scummy.
Yeah.
But the problem is I don't see a way of using that in general outside of that.
I mean, and the thing is, using it with Bleeding Edge, a game that's pretty much dead, right, is actually a good use of like, oh, they have a full-on game that was made by a company. Like,
that's true, I guess.
If you want to train it all on Bleeding Edge, train it on Bleeding Edge, man. Nobody's going to be mad about that.
That's such a strange thing to do, but sure.
Speaking of strange things, the PSVR 2 has dropped in price.
Really?
Yes. $550 at the beginning, but in March it's going to be discounted to $400.
That's not terrible.
It's not bad.
A lot of VR headsets, that's the amount it is in general.
Also, it's worth noting that I don't know how available they are, but for $60 you can also plug that into a PC. Right?
Oh yeah, the adapter,
$60 adapter. So, and it's a pretty good headset. The problem is that there aren't that many games for it.
They didn't put an investment into it past a certain point.
Yep.
And a lot of those games you can buy on the Meta Quests.
Yes.
Like that Ghostbusters game and Super Hot and all those other games.
Yep. I haven't touched mine in quite some time.
No, you've not.
So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. The other thing is that they, remember last year they stopped producing them. And they basically said, like,
I forgot about
sell
that.
your stock because they weren't moving, right?
Yeah.
So
this is probably them trying to get rid of them as soon as they can.
Let's see. Remember how Balatro was rated 18 plus by Peggy?
Yeah.
Well, they managed to get them to change it. They managed to get them to review it and be like, "This is not a gambling game. This is not about gambling."
So it's like a teenage.
It is
rating,
a card.
Probably.
It's a card game. I think it's going to be an E for everyone. I mean, there's nothing in there that would be like, it's just a card game, right?
It's Peggy 12, which is
Peggy 12,
pretty close to that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the ratings are for Peggy.
I think it goes like 8. Like an E for everyone, and then like an 8, 12,
I think
18.
Peggy 16 is like the T,
16?
is T, basically.
Okay.
Because I've seen games say I think Peggy 16 before. I think it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of trailers where it'll say it, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what that means. Forgetting that's what that's for.
It's just kind of ridiculous that it's like every anything that has playing cards in it must be gambling, and it's like, no, it's not.
No,
like,
yeah.
In fact, it does have chips and it does have cards, but it is not a gambling game. So
I can see why they would if they just looked at it from. I bet you they didn't even really look at it originally. They were just like, well, it's clearly like a poker game, and then they just went by that.
Yep.
Not realizing it didn't do any of the stuff they think it does.
Yep. But again, if you want to be a ratings agency, you actually have to do your job. So
yes.
Let's see. Bloober Team came out this week and said they are working on another project for Konami, another remake of some old franchise.
Interesting.
We don't know what it is.
They said it was also Konami?
Yes. Konami is letting the Polish horror studio work on a new game based on one of the Japanese publisher's existing franchises, codenamed Project G. So
I don't know what that would mean. My only hope is it's Parasite Eve.
That's Square.
Oh shit! It was. Okay.
Yep.
Then I don't know. I thought that for some reason I thought that was Konami. I don't know. Then I don't know.
Do you want to know what I think?
What do you think?
I think it's fucking Metal Gear 1, man. I'm really hoping it's Metal Gear 1 because they've got Delta coming out. I don't know if it comes out fast. They could be redoing one of the older Castlevanias, but they've really minded that with those classic collections.
Yeah, but it depends on what it is that they're remaking. If it is a Castlevania type, like it would be cool if they made Castlevania 1, but it was this like full on 3D thing.
Yeah,
I would play the shit out of that, but I don't see that team being the one to do that though. Is the thing.
The other thing is that Bloober Team did a really good job of taking they took Silent Hill 2 and then kind of just really tried to stick to what Silent Hill 2 was. So
whatever they're doing, it's clearly something that's not just like, it's not something that's way older than they have to rebuild almost from scratch.
Right.
I feel like whatever it is, it's going to be a game that's that all you have to do is really update what's going on. Because even that Metal Gear Solid Delta one is clearly just that too.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like they did that much to it.
I think Metal Gear Solid makes a lot of sense because one, they can piggyback it off of when Delta comes out if it's like a resurgence in interest in Metal Gear. Two, it's not that difficult. Three, from what Bloober Team has done, they've shown that they can take kind of like an older PSX, PS2 style game and then like basically make it in a modern engine.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist for Metal Gear, and you've got crazy people like me who are like, I would play that. I would buy that.
I would buy a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 that was not Twin Stakes because I don't care how many times you bring it up.
Yep.
It is not that good of a remake of it.
It's not the same thing.
My problem is they changed the entire soundtrack of that game. Is my main problem with that game.
My problem is they changed all the cutscenes of that game and made Snake into a fucking Power Ranger.
That's true. They did all of those things. Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that it's Metal Gear, but who knows? It could be something else. Could be Konami's got a lot of shit. So
the problem is I don't remember them all. So if I had something in front of me, I'm sure I could come up with it. But those are the three biggest genres we mentioned are those specific ones.
Let's see,
but they're very
Yu-Gi-Oh! Master
famous.
Duel, Pro Evolution Soccer.
They're going to bring back Pro Evolution Soccer. I knew it.
Bring back Pro PES.
That would be really fucking funny if they did some crazy shit like that.
Some of the newer stuff.
They'll make more Yu-Gi-Ohs.
See, there was a new Contra game not that long ago.
There was, and it was really good. I ended up buying it and finishing it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
That one, the kind of the throwback one.
Yeah,
that we
it was a lot of fun. And it ends like in a cliffhanger for some reason.
Okay, Lords of Shadow. To Lords of Shadow.
That would be so. God, what a
Never Dead. I want him to be bring
Never
back
Dead?
Never Dead.
Oh God.
Def Jam Rap Star. Def Jam Rap Star. Come on, guys.
Maybe that's why it's codenamed G.
Because it's Def Jam Rap Star. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And then last but not least, here's a little fun bit of good news. EA has put out the source code for Command & Conquer Red Alert, Command & Conquer Generals, and Command & Conquer Renegade just up online as a free download.
That's crazy. You should.
I think because they have realized that they can get some good PR and that nobody gives a shit about Command & Conquer, and you would just, you're going to make some people happy, and it doesn't cost you anything to do. So.
It's true, yeah. And they don't know what to do with that franchise anymore.
Very true. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we got trailers. But when I just said that, the thing just went over to 45 minutes, and I was like, ooh, boy, we're making time today. All right, we'll see you in just a minute. And that means it's time for trailers. We got a lot of weird trailers this week.
I saw one of these.
Yeah.
It's because a friend sent it to me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start out with something really cool, which is this. They're making this new Terminator 2D game called No Fate that's based on Terminator 2, and it is like it's not a remake, it's an original thing, but it's really made up to look like, it reminds me a lot of like Super Star Wars or something like that, where it's like a tie-in that's just, we're just gonna do a lot of like 2D side-scrolling shooting and brawling, and it looks like you play as Sarah Connor and you play as Arnie, and then you play also, it looks like there's like a John Connor in the future element of it too. So
I think that's what that beginning part was. But it definitely has that Super Star Wars, because it's detailed but not like overly detailed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because even the Super Nintendo game wasn't this like this, basically. Like if it was a remake of that, we would have been able to tell the difference of it.
Right.
If anything, it reminds me of those Way Forward Alien games.
Yeah.
Where there were side-scroller ones. Like one of them was for the DS. So it was actually really good. It has that sort of thing, but this one has a lot of different things going on besides just like, because there was like a beat-em-up section in part of the trailer.
Yeah.
There's a part where it's like clearly like Contra, that kind of thing. So it's fascinating. Like, this looks really cool. Actually,
it looks like an arcade game or something, where you would have gone to the arcade when Terminator 2 came out. You're like, oh shit, they made a game. Cool.
Yeah.
Let me play this.
Like this is the game that we wish that Super Nintendo game was.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah,
and actually, like, I'm very excited to try this
and like
out.
Some just really gorgeous sprite work, like 2D sprite work and stuff. So
and I hope that the soundtrack really keeps up with it too.
The only thing that I have a little bit of a problem with, Michael, and this is such a silly thing, is there's a scene where it's when the T-1000 is busting the truck down into the spillage place, and the way that it turns in this pixel thing, it's fine, it looks fine, but I wish that they had made it like a Mode 7 look, where it all like warps, when the Mode 7 stuff happens. I think that would have been... That would have really sold it, I think. I think that would have really sold it too. Yeah, because it's fine, but... It's the way it lands that makes it look really weird. Yeah. But yeah, it's fine, and it looks really good, and I can't wait to play it. It also looks like it's being published by Reef Entertainment, who are the guys that did all of the Terminator 3D games that have been out recently. I think they have the license for it. I didn't realize that. That explains a lot, though. So yeah, it's being made by Bitmap Bureau, but then I think it's being published by Reef. So see, more 80s movies should have just games like this. Yeah, like they shouldn't be the weird, not super great ones. Kind of like that the Halloween, the Michael Myers thing, the Evil Dead thing. Yeah, sort of like that. Because there's the thing about these things that a lot of people are very slavish to what you want from it. Yeah, and you really shouldn't. We're in a day and age, or not even now, but like in general, games don't have to just be the same like big 3D expensive fucking game. Yeah, like you can just make like a AA game and just be fun with it. I think more places they quote unquote killed AA games, and I think they should bring them back, because you probably make a better return on investment with a modest game like this that you can make in 8 months than like something that takes 7 years and is going to make or break a company. Especially something with a license, because you don't even have to have to worry about like getting people to want to look at it. Yep. We already got a leg up. Yeah. In other Terminator news, we got our first look at the T-1000 in Mortal Kombat 1. Looks very good. He looks great. I love the fatality they show. We just saw a second ago. Yeah, but not as detailed as it was in this one. Right. And it had like it's got references in that too. That's to something that he didn't do, which I thought was really fun. Which if you guys have ever seen Terminator 2, when he comes down with the truck and hits them with it, or tries to hit them with it, he does knock over the windshield. That, of course, is a reference to that part. Yeah. But it's the last part that is a reference to something that he didn't do, which is this part where he shoots the shit out of Johnny Cage. Yeah. That's a reference to when the Terminator lands on the truck and starts shooting the shit out of him instead. Mm-hmm. So, but, you can't just do the same thing. So I thought that was fun. And Robert Patrick has been very like, hey, I'm back as the T-1000. So that's really cool that they got him to do the voice again. Also, it's really funny. They show it really briefly and they talk about it. There's a cameo. And it's Madame Bo. And that's great. I love that. Which I didn't see her in the beginning. I didn't even realize it was her originally. Yeah. Because I was so focused on Robert Patrick. Yep. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it looks great. Yep. And I'm really excited to see if there's a reference to the fact that Robert Patrick plays Peacemaker's dad in the show. Of Peacemaker season. Oh, in the matchup, like a voice line or something. I really hope there's something for that. Yeah. Yeah, it looks great. I just wish I liked to play Mortal Kombat 1 more. So that's the problem I'm having with it. When Conan came out, I'm like, Conan looks pretty cool, but I don't
really care about this game.
Yep.
Like, I have all that DLC, but I just I don't know.
As you previously mentioned, Fortnite has a Cowboy Bebop crossover. I don't think these look as good as some of the other ones.
No, but it looks a lot better than I expected some of it to look, especially Spike.
Yeah.
But that's I think also it's because of what happened with Overwatch's version, where I was just so annoyed by how Overwatch was that just being like, if Spike just looks like Spike, that's already a fucking win for me.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And
Also, it's worth watching the teaser for it because they have like the most generic ripoff of Tank playing in the background during this trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Tank, but it sounds an awful lot like it. It's like, why? How could you not get that?
Well,
Like,
here's the thing that makes it really funny is because I looked at the shop item for it.
Yeah.
That part where she's holding where she has the jukebox.
Yeah.
That jukebox just plays Tank.
Oh.
as what it does when it plays, it's all it plays. You're like, why did you not use it in the trailer if you have access to it?
Yeah,
I don't
motherfuckers.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very strange.
Very strange.
Oh, also, the loading screen and the shop or the weapon skin is not part of the shop. Those you earn through levels. You just earn levels and you get those. So if you guys are curious, you can still get those too for free.
There you go. Mike, I'll put this one in here for you very briefly.
I can't believe this thing is still going.
Dragon Ball Breakers, The Breakers, Season 8 has the Golden Raider, apparently, is the thing. Because this guy's already in there. We played him,
Oh,
right?
so it's Golden Frieza?
Yeah. And I don't know what difference that makes.
Well, it's just it's like Super Saiyan God, where it's like it's his godly form.
Oh, okay.
Basically, he trained really hard and he gained a gold form. So I guess they decided to put it in the game.
How's that work on the way the game works? Does he evolve a fifth time or whatever?
Yeah,
Like,
basically. I think that's all it is. Yeah, I think he's basically just another form.
Because when we evolved into him in that one video, you were already just destroying whole segments of the map.
I killed everyone, guys. I let them win.
Yeah.
That game was great. That game is great if you do it the right way. The problem is I don't know. You can't always do it the right way.
I think that with that game, we did the best Rage Select, where sometimes we'll start up a game on Rage Select, we play it one time, and we have the best time, and it rules. And then we're like, okay, never again.
I can't even believe they've had 8 seasons of that thing. I assumed it died by now.
Nope.
Good for them.
No. Dragon Ball fans are crazy.
That's true.
You should know.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles X got a big kind of overview trailer that showed a lot more. They showed, the character creation. They talked a lot more about the story. They kind of went into like how the game works and stuff. I'm still very conflicted about this because like part of me really wants to like any of the Xenoblade games, but I always just end up not liking them.
No, I never got into them. I have friends who were really into them, but they're so weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it outside of that.
I mean, I actually thought that the third one that they made on the Switch was an interesting thing where you had the kids from the two opposing factions that then ended up like together was an interesting idea. I just don't enjoy the combat.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy the combat in the games. Like I
get that, yeah.
enjoy the combat systems. And this one is especially frustrating because I think I would really like to play it the mech part of the game, but it takes so long to get a mech that it's like...
Well, that's always been the problem with the Xeno type games, because Xenogears was the same way.
Yeah.
Where they're like, look at this cool robot. And it's like, well, do I get it right away? No. Fuck you, no. It's like, come on, guys.
So, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's also, though, good from a preservation standpoint, though, that they are putting this back out again. Especially because this was a Wii U game, right?
I think it was a Wii game, but I don't know. It's been a while. I don't even remember which ones are which anymore.
Yeah, it
most likely was a Wii U game. If it's a re-release, that usually happens with those Wii U games.
It's so funny that Nintendo just gets to. Yeah, it was a Wii U. That Nintendo just gets to go back to their catalog and be like, we had this one failed console with all these games on it, and we could put all those games out again, and we could double dip and get money.
Yeah, we can now make actual money on them because the people actually own the system now.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for the most part, about 90% of the games are now just on there.
Dude,
that were good for the Wii U.
This mech stuff looks great. I'd love to play this mech game, but I know that you don't get to for like 20 or 30 hours or something.
And it's probably not that much of the game.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. We had a bunch of other strange kind of RPG announcements. This one was the trailer for Edge of Memories, which is a kind of a third-person action RPG. And this is the sequel to Edge of Eternity, or at least it's from the same developers. I don't know if you remember that game. It was like a weird JRPG kind of similar thing.
I'd have to see what it looks like.
It was really here. Let me see if I can find it.
What was it called again?
Edge of Eternity. It was a few years back. Like, let's see, it came out 2021, and it was kind of like I think it was kind of a mixed development where it was like, I don't know. You had these. I always remember looking at it being like, it looks too dark. It's too dark.
I generally don't remember this thing.
I don't know why they have the contrast turned up so high in this game. I think Amanda and I played it maybe briefly, but it was kind of just trying to make a kind of Japanese RPG, kind of the Xenoblade Chronicles or kind of action adventure type of thing. But then it didn't do super duper well. So
yeah, I generally don't remember this at all.
But I'll say that this new game, this Edge of Memories, it's got a weird thing where they're cutting out frames, so the characters kind of look like they're in like Spider-Verse or Stop Animated, which I'm not entirely sure if I like. I don't know.
I don't hate it. But this is all cutscene stuff so far.
Yeah. The game itself, I mean, they've got the kind of standard anime folks, and it looks like it's another one of these kind of like third-person action RPGs where you got a big cast of characters. But the thing is that this looks a lot more fantasy focused, whereas the other one was a little bit more like military focused. You were like in the weird medieval military type of thing, so...
It looks like a better game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but more because, like you said, the contrast thing was such an issue.
It looks like it has more of an art style.
Yeah,
it actually has an art style.
Yes,
to it.
It's got something that makes sense about it.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. It's the same studio, Midgar Studios, and Nacon is putting it out, but we'll see. It's just a reveal trailer. We also got the reveal of Blades of Fire, which I probably wouldn't put on this list, but this is the latest game that's being made by Mercury Steam, who made Metroid Dread and the Metroid 2 remake for the DS.
They made those Castlevania Lords of Shadow games.
Castlevania games, yeah. And this is very much like... appears to very much be a kind of God of War style. You play as like a blacksmith, and you've got a big ass sword, and then you've got real bloody kind of third person.
It's definitely leaning more towards the way the Lords of Shadow idea was.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Even the designs are very, not similar, but like the art design, I guess, feels more like that.
Feels like Lords of Shadow. I can see that. Kind of a generic medieval fantasy type of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly, like, it's fine. It just doesn't exactly super stand out at first blush. Like, I could see a lot of people watching this trailer and being like, who gives a fuck? Like,
even the combat doesn't even, like, feels a little more generic than even Lords of Shadow did.
Yeah. But it's still unclear. I mean, this is very early in development, so it's possible that there could be some interesting stuff going on here that we just don't know about.
Yeah,
because we're just watching a generic dude with a beard dressed in medieval armor hack at stuff with a sword, and a lot of blood comes out. So.
Yeah, it really depends on what the story is. Because I as much as shit as we give the Lords of Shadow series, that first one really got me, like in a way that I'm like, okay, I want to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Even the side scroller one, the one that was more of a Metroidvania game, even that one I really like its story. Yeah. The second one is fucking garbage.
Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, Lords of Shadow 2, just absolutely terrible from beginning to end, and it frustrated me that it's such a big like leap of. It's like that when you look at like a graph and it goes up for you and then just fucking.
It's like
drop rock bottoms like right after.
It's like if they made a sequel to that Joker movie and it was a musical and everybody hated it.
Yes, exactly.
Like if that had happened. If
and
that
it also has a terrible ending apparently. So I didn't even try to watch that Joker thing. It ended up on Max and I'm like, nope.
Yep.
I don't need that shit in my life.
Not interested. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this goes because I also really liked Metroid Dread. I thought Metroid Dread was excellent. So
yeah, they've done a good job with those games because they also did the remake of 2, right?
Yes, which they dramatically expanded, which I also think they should put out on the Switch. Because
that would be a great thing to put on Switch.
Was it on the Switch?
It was the 3DS game.
Only 3DS, right?
That was one of your issues with it, remember?
Yeah. I was just trying to think if it had somehow come out and I had forgotten about it since then. But
no, I remember you playing it. You're like, it's great, but I hate that I have to fucking look down the whole goddamn time.
Right.
Because you were so frustrated.
Put it on the TV, motherfucker. Yeah. I spent a lot of money on my TV. Let's see. Switching gears to another action game, we got Steam. There was a bunch of Steam Next Fest going on right now. We got a new trailer for Kyborg.
Oh, that's right. This fucking thing.
Which is that, like, yeah, kind of rogue-based third-person just action splatterhouse game where you get a bunch of, like, cybernetic enhancements. They're showing kind of in the trailer, they're just starting out regular, and then, like, as it goes on, you're getting upgrade materials, you're getting guns, you're getting fucking cyborg arms, and
yeah, this was one of those we called it a AA game that just looked really fun.
It looks fun as hell. It looks incredibly gory and totally ridiculous, and yeah, I want to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It looks so much fun.
It also looks, I think it looks smoother here than it did before.
It does,
like,
actually.
A little bit more evened out, a little bit more like easier on the eyes than it was before. So yeah,
it's got a lot more to show for it too, I feel.
Yeah. Which I guess is what a year in development will do for you. So.
Yeah, it looks fucking great still.
Looks great.
Even now, it looks great.
I want to check it out. So, yeah. From there, we got the lore reveal trailer for Fragpunk. Michael, I know that everybody... Fragpunk is that game where you play it's like the Counter-Strike with the cards.
With the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know... I know you're looking at me like, this is what it is.
Do you remember that?
It's a real game. No, I do, because we both hate the idea of it.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I remember it immensely.
Yep. Well, what was funny to me is they have this whole trailer that's about the lore of their Counter-Strike game with cards.
God damn.
And how it's like, oh, they've got this power source and it's addictive, but it can also warp reality. And now we've got people fighting over the resource, but then they can use this resource to change things. I'm like, bitch, nobody cares, okay? Like,
this was the problem I had with Overwatch when they're like, here's a story that could be interesting.
Yeah.
But were you ever going to expand on that? No. And they never do every time.
It's also called Glue Knight. Is the name of the resource?
Is that the name of the resource?
Yeah.
It's a terrible name.
And it's like gross. I don't know. I think this one is also going to fail pretty spectacularly.
I haven't heard anybody be like, I can't wait for Fragpunk.
Yeah.
No one even knows this game exists. No
Yeah.
matter how many times they show it to people, I haven't heard anybody say they even remember its existence.
And the thing is that I think, like, from what they've said, you're going after the Counter-Strike Valorant crowd.
Yeah.
And those people aren't interested in switching games.
No.
They have the game they want to play.
They're also not interested in changes to that formula they like.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm sure this will find an audience of some kind.
Sure.
But it's going to be like a small audience. I'm not expecting this to be like, it's going to be like what was that name? Splitgate, the name of the one I'm thinking of? Mm-hmm. The Portal one?
Yeah.
That one exploded.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't think anyone's really going to care that much about it.
Well, it also depends on whether the I don't know if are they self-publishing this, or is it published by, is this a Microsoft joint? Anyway, it also depends on who's in charge of deciding whether this is like a failure, because the thing is that, like, X-Defiant probably could have been fine, but Ubisoft was like, why don't you have 6 billion players? Shut it down.
It's also a free-to-play one, so it has that over Concord.
Yeah. Okay, so it is a self-published. It looks like it's just going to be on Game Pass. So
this can go either way.
Maybe.
If they're willing to keep it alive, it actually probably will get an audience eventually, because it happens to games all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not rooting for them to fail. I'm rooting for the fact that I'm never going to play this game.
Let's see. We got a trailer for Ultra Kill, which is one of the New Blood interactive games.
Oh, yeah,
it's like
this thing.
Super frenetic, like first person, you kind of a robot, kind of Quake style, blowing stuff up. It turns out that it's still in early access, but it turns out that they redid like a whole shitload of their maps.
Really?
To make them look a little bit better and to add a little bit more to them. There's like a whole comparison video that you can look at. I don't know. I've never actually played this one because it looks like it might be a little too much for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I think I'm going to get a seizure just looking at some of it. And I play Marvel vs. Capcom. So.
Like the jumping and the fucking rocket jumps and just millions and millions of pixels exploding on the screen at the same time. Kind of gives me a headache.
It's also the flashy lights too.
Yep,
gonna give you a headache.
Definitely not for the epileptic among us.
No, definitely not. But it looks great. That's the thing. If this is your thing, and it would be if I was a younger man, this would be my thing.
Yep.
But I'm not, and I don't think I could keep up with this now.
Yep.
So,
yep, out now. So check it out.
Hell, my hands cramped up playing Marvel's Capcom and ranked for the first time in a long time. when that re-release came out, I was like, oh my god, my hands hurt so badly.
We got the release trailer for a game called Repo, which is another one of these kind of like online kind of Lethal Company 4-player games.
Okay.
But what I like about it is that all of the characters are these weird, like, I don't know what to tell. I don't know how to describe them. They're like weird butt plug monsters that. But when you do like the voice comms in the games, their mouths open like Muppets. Yeah. And then again, it's like you're trying to kind of do stuff. It also looks like they start out tall and then like if they get hit, they become smaller or something. Like it looks kind of wacky and weird. I didn't know that this was like out and it was a thing.
This is really fun looking, actually.
I might have to try to put together a team to do some videos on this because we do have a pretty good time with games like this. So,
this is crazy.
But it's very weird looking. It's just like very bizarre. And I like the monster designs quite a bit, and I like the weird little guys. The weird guys
really sell it.
They got some weird little guys up in there. So,
because everything else around them doesn't even really look like them either, which is what's so funny about it.
Yeah,
like everything's so different from them. I love that.
Yeah, the rest of the game looks like an entirely different game, except for the weird little guys. So, yeah, Repo R.E.P.O. So, nice. We also got the announcement trailer, Michael, for Gorn 2.
That's actually kind of fun.
PSVR 2 is getting a sequel to Gorn. It looks Gorn-tastic. It looks like the same ridiculous nonsense that is Gorn.
The guys look more detailed.
Yep.
And then also the weapons a little more too.
Well, they also have a thing they show in here. I don't know if this was in the original Gorn because I didn't think I played it long enough, where there are like potions you could drink that make you do different things.
No, I think that's a new thing because I actually did beat all of Gorn.
Yeah.
When I got my MetaQuest 2, I played it way longer than you should.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because I was sore for like 2 weeks afterwards because your body doesn't understand because your adrenaline's kicking in because you think you're trying to be killed.
Yeah.
So you just don't feel it until afterwards. And so this looks like so much fun because of all this new stuff you can do.
So they got like the potion that gives you mega hands, like giant hands. And yeah, everything. I actually, when I was watching this, because of the level of gore involved, I was like, these guys should really make it a Sniper Elite game. Like they also understand that I want to see ultra violence directed at weirdos.
It looks great. I really loved the first one, and it's a game that you need the space in when it comes to VR.
Yeah,
because I must have punched my monitor like 4 times when I played this thing because I didn't have that much space. But once I did, I went all in on this fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's great.
So,
love it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be out for other platforms as well, but this is just for the PSVR 2 at the moment. So, but yeah, looks great. Can't wait. I'm gonna try out some Gorn. Let's see. We got the launch trailer for Ninja 5-0. I don't know if you know this. This was a side-scrolling, like really kind of a throwback game where you play as a ninja cop that's trying to take down other ninjas. This was a GBA game that has been re-released.
That's crazy.
And looks a lot like a GBA game. Also looks like it's going to be hard as shit.
Oh, it probably is. Because those GBA games like were the last like time where things were not. They didn't cater to easy mode.
Right. But yeah, very just a shinobi ripoff that they've
a fun name and a fun premise though. So it could be a fun time if they add some quality of life to it.
Yep. Out now. We'll see. I don't know. Just for people who've got this far in the podcast, I will say very briefly. Last week, I had a whole bunch of games I wanted to play, and then the day that Amanda and I were going to play those games, my internet went down, and we had to record something, which is why we put out Fly Night and the mascot demo because I had that downloaded because I only had what I had downloaded.
Yeah,
and so like I feel really weirdly backed up where they're like these games are out right now and I'm like but there was like 3 games last week that I wanted to cover that I didn't cover and I don't know where to put them anymore.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
maybe end of the year games.
Also, we got the reveal trailer for Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3.
That was an ad lib you just told me.
Yep, that's the name. The first thing I did was go on Steam and see if there was a Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 1 or 2. No, there are not.
That's just the name of this?
That's just the name of this one.
Who made this game?
You play as a guy. This is one of those games. There used to be another series of games that were like this where it's like everything is a match 3. is how you do the stuff
okay.
in the world, and then in between it's a ridiculous story about you being in a mansion full of dinosaurs and creepy weirdos and stuff. So
this is so insane.
Yeah, looks kind of crazy.
Who's making this?
Oh, I'm sure it's just an indie.
That's the Mothman right there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just an indie developer. It doesn't even say.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, looks kind of
That's so fucking funny.
some of the YouTube comments was like, there were 2 more before this one? I don't know. Maybe there were.
Maybe there were. Who knows?
Oh, it's Strange Scaffold. It's fucking...
That's the I Am Your Beast
It's
guy?
the I Am Your Beast and Clickholding and El Paso Elsewhere. It's Xavier Nelson.
That's crazy as shit.
Which is like, they have stepped up to that. What I want shorter games that
are worse
looking, made by bigger teams, and I'm not kidding. Whatever that thing is, like that's this company.
That's this guy, and he's made great stuff.
Yeah,
the fact to the point where they're making a movie off of El Paso. Elsewhere.
Well, maybe. No, he was the one that did an airport for aliens currently run by dogs. Remember we played that?
Wait, that was him too?
That was him too.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We had so much fun with that stupid thing.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I had no idea it was him too.
Because I kept an eye on it, and the next one was the Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play that one. So, but then after that was El Paso Elsewhere.
I had no idea that was the same guy. So that explains a lot.
Yep. He was also the guy, remember, that said we shouldn't hold everything up to Baldur's Gate 3, and everybody jumped up his ass about it.
That's true.
Including me.
Well, it wasn't the smart thing to say at the time.
Yep. We also got the announcement of a game called Shotgun Cop Man.
Okay, I almost spit out my water from the very first frame.
Yep. This is freeze, Satan, you're under arrest.
And it's this weird fucking character model.
Yep.
Holy shit.
It's from the guy that made My Friend Pedro. The thing is that the actual gameplay of this is a little simplistic for me, where you're using like guns to platform, and it's this very simple art style.
Yeah.
But like, yes, the beginning where with free Satan, you're under arrest, and then fuck you, Shotgun Cop Man is like, that's solid right there.
That's solid. That's solid writing, guys. Pay attention, Oscars.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe this is worth it, but
this is going to win Best Picture on Sunday instead of everything else.
It does look very strange. It's a very strange game. Wait, are the Oscars this week?
It's tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Yeah, as we're recording, it's tomorrow.
Yeah. So today,
once this is released,
this is up,
we don't know who's won, so don't let us know.
We also got the full-on launch trailer for Star of Providence. I don't remember if you remember this, but this was the next game from Big Mode.
Oh, okay. I remember.
Duckies.
Yeah, I thought I heard because he promotes them every time he makes a video. Usually,
yeah.
I think he mentioned it.
I don't know about this one because it looks like a shmup, but then it also doesn't look like a shmup because it's all in these like rooms.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's more of like a twin stick shooter, because I do like a twin stick shooter, but I'm not the biggest fan of shmups. So I'm not sure whether I would like this or not, because it looks like a shmup, but it also doesn't.
There's probably something unique about it because he's. The Donkey's usually Donkey has a very interesting like look in the way games are.
Yeah.
So I think he definitely must have saw something in it, because that's the thing that happened with that last game that came out or that he helped publish.
Animal Well.
So maybe there's something here that we're just not seeing, but I don't know. We won't really know until the game comes out, I feel,
or if
we know more to it at least.
Yeah. Out now.
Oh, it's already out? I didn't realize that.
I think so. Yeah. I think it says, is available on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it was on Steam in early access, and it might have gotten the same update for Steam. So, out now.
Okay. I didn't even realize that.
We also got the launch trailer, speaking of stuff that's out right now, for 2 Point Museum is out.
Nice.
They've got a fun little trailer where they show the different stuff, and then kind of a narrator talking about the different areas in the museum. So... which it looks like a 2 Point game. It looks like 2 Point Hospital, but museum. So
exactly.
I don't really know what else to say besides that. It looks kind of crazy. Are you watching Sakamoto Days?
I am.
Are you caught up?
I am.
I was like, speaking of museums.
I wasn't going to bring it up because if you hadn't, I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was literally the first thought I had when they walked up to it.
That was great. It was great. I wish that show was slightly better animated. Like
I do too. But
it's really fun. It's just not quite as well animated as I really wish it was.
But it's still pretty good.
It's still
really good.
Yeah.
I also wish that the episodes were more consistently released.
Yeah.
That was my other issue with it.
Wait, it's once a week, right?
Well, there was one time where it was like they didn't release one for a bit.
Oh.
And that was very early on, and I remember sitting there being like, "What the fuck is this goddamn episode?"
Okay. Yeah. We also got, this is part of, IGN had a thing where they put in a bunch of stuff. It's an interesting game called The Bench that I'm kind of interested in, where you play as an old man that sits on a bench. But the thing is that you feed the pigeons, and then you use the pigeons to solve puzzles from the bench.
Oh my God.
So you pick up the pigeons and throw them at like stuff and people and places in order to solve puzzles.
That's actually kind of fun.
And you can actually move between benches by having enough pigeons to pick you up and move you to a different bench. Because the whole thing is that in the beginning you're put in an assisted living facility and you escape via the pigeons.
Oh, okay.
But you can't like walk, so you're just going from bench to bench with an unlimited thing of bread, and then the pigeons around you. And then there's like little mini games where was like cats, I think, will attack the pigeons, and then you've got to like do a little kind of a Pikmin type of strategy defense.
That's fucking crazy.
It looks really fun. It looks like a really cute little time.
Super fun idea.
Yeah. And it's basically just a puzzle game. Oh, raccoons. Some pigeons versus raccoons. So, but yeah, I like the fact that he just picks the pigeons up by their neck and then hucks them at stuff.
That's so fucking great.
So,
what a fun idea for a crazy game.
Yeah, looks kind of interesting. So yeah, that's The Bench. Let's see, another kind of mundane games. Player Unknown of Player Unknown Battlegrounds is putting out a new game called Go Way Back.
Huh.
And it is a survival game with a very large, very semi-realistic kind of environment where you're trying to kind of just get from place to place. Like, part of him talking about it was that, like, yes, you have a map, but it's just like a map. It's not like there's an icon on it where you are.
Tell you where you are,
you have to, like,
where things are.
Find where you are on the map and then try to like navigate using a compass and shit.
That's actually kind of neat. Like, because a lot of these survival games, I feel like are not handholdy per se.
Yeah,
but you don't really feel like you're actually exploring, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, there was a quote on this where they were like, "It's definitely not for everyone. It may not even be for anyone, but I'm making it." So.
You know what? That's fair. Somebody's going to be really excited about this game, though.
Yeah.
If anyone's excited for that fucking take a picture of some bullshit thing,
right?
Okay, sorry, that was mean. That was mean of me. But if somebody's excited about that game, then somebody's excited about this game.
Yeah. What I think would be really interesting is if they actually make it so that, like, it would be weird, and it would make people very upset at first. But if they did a thing where, like, the amount of time it took you to walk a mile is like the actual amount of time it would take you to walk a mile, because like all video games are compressed.
Yes.
Right? Like, they're all compressed because you don't want to have people that just have to spend so much of their life trying to figure out how to get from A to B.
Exactly.
But like, if this is a game about getting from A to B and they make it an actual, like, it takes you an hour to walk a mile type of thing.
Not
like,
everybody, that's the reason why it's like, it can't be for everyone, because not everyone loves Desert Bus as much as we do.
Right. But yeah, there's going to be early access this summer, and they're putting out like a little prologue demo type of thing soon. So yeah, let's see. And then finally, it's very weird. I just watched the H Bummer guy video about Pathologic again. Pathologic 3 has a release date. So
okay. I almost forgot about this coming out.
Yeah. So Pathologic was really weird because there was Pathologic 1, and then there was like a remaster, and then there was the HD remake of it where they overhauled it.
Yeah.
And then Pathologic 2, there were 3 characters in Pathologic 1. Pathologic 2 let you play as one of those characters, the Harspecs, not all 3. And then Pathologic 3 is letting you play as the Bachelor, but then it's got some kind of time reset loop. Like, you can make different decisions. I think maybe like checkpoints or something. It's unclear, but it's very like, taking that concept. They keep I have a lot of respect for Ice Pick Studios of just like, we're gonna keep remaking this game until we finally get it where we want it.
Well, what if you guys like it instead of wanting to shoot yourself in the face?
Yeah,
because these are very depressing games. That was the other thing I remember about them.
They're very strange, they're very bizarre, they're very like dark, and, like
very dark,
nihilistic. So, but I don't know, this, like, the trailer for it looks real cool. Like, it looks so much better than the other ones.
It's true, yeah.
I don't know. I'm really more interested to see, because the idea is if Pathologic 2 was the Haruspex and Pathologic 3 is the Bachelor, then if Pathologic 4 is the Changeling, and then they merge them all together.
That would be interesting if that's what they end up doing.
But this looks a lot different than Pathologic 2, so I'm not sure. Who can say?
That's true. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how people end up liking it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a free prologue that's coming on March 17th. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Let's wrap it up with a few more stories. Let's see. Dragon Age: The Veilguard is coming to PlayStation Plus.
Huh. Is this the different tiered ones, or is this just like Essential?
Free for PlayStation Plus subscribers in March.
Okay, so this is just the one for March.
This is just the 3 games, because
that's crazy as shit.
Dragon Age Veilguard, Sonic Colors, and the Cowabunga Collection for Ninja Turtles.
Everyone should jump on the Cowabunga Collection of fucking immediately. Do it.
I don't know. You know, the thing that would be really weird is that Veilguard launch was such a whiff that if it would be very strange if it was on PS Plus and then it got like wildly popular. It got like a resurgence because people got a chance to try it out without buying it.
Well, that happened with what was the name of that motorcycle one?
Days Gone.
Days Gone. That happened with Days Gone, to the point where they're now doing a re-release of that.
Yeah.
So I bet you they're hoping people will spend that $10 on that thing.
Well, the thing I think is really strange, though, is that because Veilguard didn't launch very well, like, they took everybody from that project and had them start working on other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So there's not going to be any DLC for Veilguard, which would be weird. You
can't really buy anything. I don't even think there were costumes or anything that you can buy for it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's kind of a shame, though, to be honest. Like, if it ends up getting a huge audience afterwards.
I don't know. I didn't really play it, but I'm not a Dragon Age guy. It wasn't like, this game is woke, I don't want to play it. It was more just like, I don't know, man. I'm just not into this. Like
I watched my girlfriend play it. I'm like, this is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Besides, Michael, I've got 225 fucking hours and
I still can't believe you did that.
Fucking, I'm not even done. I'm not even done yet.
I still don't know
I'm not even done. I've got like 5 more quests.
I wish I had your time management to make something like that work, because I haven't done that for a game in a very long time.
I just don't sleep anymore. Like, that's all it is. Yeah, speaking of fantasy games, Fable, the new Fable game got pushed into 2026.
Fuck, man. Is this game real at this point?
Oh.
I keep seeing trailers for it, but now it just feels like all they're doing are cinematic trailers, and I never see gameplay anymore.
They showed some pre-alpha footage from what is obviously inside of the game engine. It looks pretty nice, but, like, what the fuck is taking so long? This is a third-person action medieval fantasy game.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I'm not seeing anything here that requires, like, reinventing the wheel. What the fuck, man?
Maybe it's their decision things, like the different pathways.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing about Fable a lot of people forget, is that it's supposed to be a different pathway type, like, idea.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it.
The thing that's weird, though, right, is, like, people have made those games. I know there's a lot of devs that are good at, like, third-person games where choices matter, and I just don't understand sometimes when a game... I mean, maybe they just announced it way too early, right?
That's true.
Maybe it was Microsoft's fault that they pushed it out there to be like, we gotta let people know there's a new Fable coming. Before
I swear, it's real.
Gave up on the Xbox entirely, so...
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe this will come out on PlayStation as well.
Maybe so. It's been pushed out in 2026 because they want to keep working on it. So
I like the Fable series a lot, though. If Fable comes back in a big way with this, I'll be happy. But just come out with it eventually. It's all we want, because they've shut down multiple versions of a new Fable game at this point, and this one
was the last one the Kinect game where you could push the arrow in and out of the horse.
Yeah, you were supposed to be like, one guy was the guy who was like, you were basically like a DM, and then there were like 4 people that were supposed
the asynchronous. Yeah. That one.
And then that one, I think that was the last one made by the actual people who made the original Fable, and then that got canceled.
And there was like an HD remake of the first one.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that was it. That's all we got from it.
Yeah. Civ 7's first in-game like story event has been postponed because they're still trying to make it not garbage.
Those poor guys who like Civ.
There's like a development roadmap plan, and you and I are not Civilization guys, Michael.
No.
But the funniest thing is that there's a lot in here about like UI. Apparently, just like the UI is so fucked that they're just like redoing a lot of UI. I mean, from the March, April, and then beyond, additional UI updates and polish. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. The game is all UI. It's a UI game, right?
Still, though,
like. Come on, man.
Jeff, just tell me, are their teeth really well managed?
I don't know. I don't know. Square's got something big planned for Nier's 15th anniversary. That's April 22nd.
Oh, wow.
They're having some kind of thing, some kind of performance. Let's all be clear here. There is something new being worked on in the Nier franchise. It is entirely possible that nothing gets announced here, that it's just a show and a retrospective, and we're going to talk about how much everybody loves Nier, and after 2 hours it's over, and nobody announced shit, because Japan will do that.
You see, what they're going to announce is that the American pro tag is coming back, so the big buff guy, he's coming back, and he's the new main character forever and ever.
Yep. No
hot women anymore.
Yep.
That's the whole thing. Don't worry about it.
Let's see. Remember that thing with Tony Hawk Pro Skater?
I do.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 HD were rated by a Singaporean website. So that statement from last week was probably Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Yes.
That's the answer to that question.
So before we move on, Jeff, do you think they will get their guest characters again? Or because I know 1 and 2 didn't.
Oh. Probably not. Probably just as little work as they could put into it.
If people don't remember, the every Tony Hawk game, I think after 2 had a guest like character that wasn't just like, Tony Hawk's friends or something. It was like Wolverine, and I think like Darth Maul. I think was the ones for 3 and 4, and Spider-Man was the one for 2. But he wasn't in that remaster. So
so that's why you care.
It is why I care. Because they fucked me over with Spider-Man.
Where's my Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn it!
That's why I didn't buy that fucking game. No, that's not the reason. I just don't like the Tony Hawk games. They were my brother's jam. That's why I know those, because they're the ones my brother had.
Okay.
At the time was 3 and 4, because they were PS2 games. So
okay. Dune Awakening has a release date of May 20th and a price tag. It's going to be $50, I think. Yep. So
if you're addicted to spice, that's a good price there.
Yep.
$50, little man. Put that shit in my hand.
I don't. It's so funny to be like, I'm completely uninterested in the. They're like, we took your favorite series and we're making it into a survival game. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
One of my favorite memes came up again on my Facebook memories. It was that scene from The Office Space where the guy's talking about what he would do with $1 million.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm excited about Dune 2, doing 2 women at the same time. And I was like, no, this is still perfect. This is a perfect joke still.
Yep. Let's see. Dark Souls 3 got an update last week. Or actually, this is a mod. There's a guy over on Nexus Mods that has done seamless co-op for Elden Ring, Armored Core 6,
really?
And now Dark Souls 3. So the problem with co-op in Dark Souls 3 is that like once you beat a boss or once you get outside of a certain area, you're trapped in a specific area, and then once you beat a boss, the other person gets booted out of your game.
Yeah.
And this is like, no, they can just be in there. They don't get booted out. They get booted back to a bonfire if they die, so they don't even get disconnected if they die.
Oh, okay.
As a way to be like, play the game with your friends. Now, they did say that it's not exactly like super tested. It's not exactly like stable or anything, but that it is there, and it also has a bunch of options where you can like change some of the difficulty in the game
to make like the more health, since you're consistently with more people,
right? Because it can do up to 5-person co-op.
Oh, that's so those villains are fucked.
You might need to juice some of them bosses.
Yeah, they're not designed for that.
Yeah,
that's why Monster Hunter has a depending on the amount of hunters, depends on the monster's health.
Right.
So that's why you would need something like that.
Well, FromSoft does that as well, but like only ever for like 2 or 3 people.
Well, that's the thing, because they were designed for only that many people. Yeah. So where Monster Hunter's up to 4.
Plus, for Elden Ring and Souls games, it's more about bosses. Like you more summon for bosses than like the actual levels. Yeah. So. George R. R. Martin, speaking of Elden Ring, came out and said that there was well, this is such a nothing burger. This is one of those nothing burger ones where he came out and said, like, was asked about an Elden Ring movie and said, I can't say too much about it, but there is some talk about making a movie out of Elden Ring. But I'm not going to be involved with it. I'm too busy writing that next book he's been writing forever. So
I'm just picturing somebody walking up to him, George, and being like, so what is Elden Ring actually about? And he's just like, I heard the phone go off, and he just runs off.
Right. And, I don't know. The loresters out there we've got a pretty good idea of what Elden Ring is about.
But but the main thing is he's not going to fucking tell you.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
George R. R. Martin is a weird fucking dude.
Start asking him about the Glowmide Queen. Yeah. Speaking of movies, there was a question that came up. There was a new kind of teaser for that Elden Ring anime, that thing that's being like independently produced.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Where what the fuck?
You clicked
I clicked on an ad. Yeah. I don't give a shit about your,
because the ad keeps popping up in spots that you click on.
Yeah. So yeah, they put out like a new little kind of in progress thing showing off some fights. There's a few bosses and a few places. Nice. But the guy that's making it was asked like whether they think there's going to be any problem with Sony or FromSoft trying to take it down, and they were very confident in being like, no, that's taken care of. Don't worry about it. I mean, as long as they're not making money off of it.
That's the thing. No profit. You don't try to set it to where it won't show ads or whatever you're getting from.
Right.
That usually appeases most companies that aren't Nintendo related.
Yes.
Nintendo's the only one who will murder you and your entire family no matter what.
Well, and then Sony shut down that Bloodborne, some of that Bloodborne stuff that's been going on recently.
Yeah.
But that's games.
Yeah, those are things that would actually interfere with things that they're probably actually doing.
Yeah.
And where they had no plans for anything for this.
Yeah.
So odds are this is fine for them.
It's also, U.S. copyright law is fucked up where if you don't protect your trademark, you can lose it. It can be weakened. So sometimes I even have a little bit of sympathy for companies of being like, look, man, you have to, right? Yeah. You can't just sit around and be like, well, we want to be good guys, so we'll just lose the Bloodborne trademark to letting everybody do whatever the fuck they feel like.
That's the reason I'm not always mad at Nintendo for stuff like that, because Nintendo's the reason why every game console's not just called a Nintendo.
Right.
Because that's what people were doing, because all parents were like, calling every game console Nintendo. They're like, no. Like, we're a game console. Like, they're the ones that are like really push that to be a name.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing. So
we got the last trailer for the Minecraft movie.
Oh God.
I put it all the way here towards the end. This looks a little bit better than some of the other stuff, but I'm still not entirely clear why it's like this. Apparently Jason Momoa's character is like a wrestler. Is he a professional wrestler?
He's supposed to be like some wrestler who was like losing, I think, his shine or some shit. I don't know. I've heard some small things here and there, but not a lot.
Apparently the main story here is that Jack Black, Steve, came in and then one day he made the fucking nether portal, and then the nether dudes came out, and so, you outsiders who have the power of imagination have to help to defend the little pig dudes from the other pig dudes. I don't know. It's still really off-putting. Like, the way that they've interpreted the square world of Minecraft is really off-putting to me. Like,
well, this is the reason why you should have never made it this way.
Yeah.
And what frustrates every Minecraft fan, I'm not a Minecraft fan, but I get why they're upset.
Yeah.
Because before this movie got made, the original version of Minecraft the movie was being made by Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
He was working with WB or something, And what happened, it was going to be a CGI movie, like a completely CGI movie.
Yeah.
But what happens is what happens to a lot of movies. The executives changed, and one executive's just like, well, this isn't mine. I don't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
And so they canceled it. And he'd worked on it for years, apparently.
Yeah.
And so he was bummed out, and everybody was bummed out. And now, had this being made, people are even that much more pissed off that movie never got made.
Yeah. The other weird thing about this trailer, I mean, like this, it doesn't look like the worst thing. I'm not really a Minecraft guy, so it's like it looks like just some schlock. It's like the last few Jumanji movies, which I hear were really good. But
They were
like,
fun. The first one was really good.
I didn't watch any of them because I was like, this is my beat. This ain't my bag.
That first Jumanji's or that first Brock Jumanji is actually a lot of fun because it makes fun of a lot of video game tropes.
Okay,
but the second one I heard it wasn't very good.
But it ends with one of the like villager guys is like walking around in like the real world and gets hit by a car, and fucking Jennifer Coolidge gets out and is like looking at him, and he's like, "You're very weird looking." And I'm like, I don't know. What is Jennifer Coolidge doing in this movie?
Honestly, what is this movie? The second trailer I saw made me laugh at one point only because of the beginning of the trailer.
Yeah.
It's a meme joke, which is that the kids yearn for the mines.
Oh.
Because did you watch the second trailer?
No.
The second trailer is the backstory of how Steve got to the world.
Oh, no, I remember that one.
Like
yes, I do remember that
He's
one.
like,
yeah.
I was a kid. I yearned for the mines. And I lost my shit in the middle of the theater.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect that because I hadn't seen it on the YouTube.
Yeah. And last but not least, Michael, I don't know. I want to get your input about how this one is, but apparently Marvel Rivals has a bunch of lines for Moon Knight in the current thing that are Moon Knight talking about calling Dracula a big fucking nerd and talking about how he's got to get his money back, like in the reference to that panel. That's an altered panel, right?
Well, yeah, it was made. This guy is actually still active to this day.
Yeah,
it's a guy on Facebook called Moon Knight Core. I don't think he was called that originally, but is that he made these joke panels about Moon Knight.
Yeah,
and there's a shit ton of them. This isn't the only one. There's a bunch.
Okay.
With like at one point he made it to where Moon Knight's addicted to ketamine and shit like that. But the beginning of it was this, like saying, "I know you're here, Dracula, you big fucking nerd. Where's my goddamn money?"
Right.
And then there's like he made newer panels, like when he's talking to Frank, he's like everybody's an Avenger. I bet you Dracula's been an Avenger. He's like he hasn't. I checked. Like stuff like that. Like there's another one I saw where he's like calling the Avengers drunk. He's like, "Where's my money, Dracula? I know you're hiding with the Avengers." Like shit like that. And so he loves this. He's so happy that he accidentally, like, making just shit jokes on the internet has now become actual lore in the entirety of Moon Knight.
Right.
Like it has gone it has taken a life of its own. Yeah. In a way that I don't think even he expected.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. And the fact that there's my favorite thing is there's a special ending to the level if you win with Moon Knight, apparently.
To this in Rivals?
Yeah, in Rivals.
Oh.
If you have a Moon Knight on your team, when it ends, a dollar bill lands into Moon Knight's hand. Okay. Showing that Dracula has now paid him back. Okay. And it's so fucking funny.
That's
I found
really
it
funny.
online. I was like, oh my God, I fucking love that.
That's really
And it's also
funny.
mentioned in his lore.
Yeah.
In the thing where he's just like, what do you know about Dracula? He's like, that he owes me money.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking funny.
It's I mean, you know, it's really just the Tree Fitty joke from South Park, but like
except that, you know, that started in South Park, like an actual thing. This is just the guy who made a joke on the internet.
Right.
And it's now be taking a life of its own. Yeah. And I'm so happy for that guy.
It's great. I'm glad that it's in there. So, and that's our show. Hey, remember patreon.com/RageSelect. If you like the show and you want to help us out, you can go over there, kick us some bucks, get the bonus videos, come to Discord server, etc., etc., etc. It does take some time and effort to make this thing happen. So, you know, if you can kick us some bucks, I would appreciate it. Michael, where can the people find you when you're not over here helping me to run down all the news?
You can find me on oneofus.net, or sometimes we do a lot of movie television reviews. You can also sometimes find me on YouTube under Super Maniacs. It's a Superman podcast I do sometimes.
Cool. Yeah, check that out down below, and then make sure to tune in for more of RageSelect. I am now the podcast is done. Now I can go die, and it won't be a problem. So I hope it was worth it. I'm dead now.